Chapter 1698. But there is no turning back. These war horses are running so fast, how can they stop just because they want to? The war horses in front stumble and crash into Li Fan's shield wall and are skewered by the spear. The cavalry immediately falls down and is also pierced by the spear. The war horses in the back crash into the war horses in front and it is a mess. The 40-strong cavalry group immediately falls apart. As for Li Fan and the others, they directly stepped forward and stabbed all the cavalry that had fallen to the ground to death. Not only is the cavalry group destroyed, many of the heaven horses are also heavily injured. Ku Wang is so distressed that he almost fainted. This king's cavalry group This time, at least 20 heaven horses have died tragically. His cavalry group has lost nearly half of its strength. What should he do? Li Dezhuang, this king wants your life. With that, Ku Wang takes a bow and arrow from the side and aims at Li Fan's camp. Bang! This arrow seems to have the power to shoot the sun. In a blink of an eye, it is already in front of Li Fan's camp. But King Yu suddenly appears and raises his spear to block Ku Wang's arrow. Ku Wang, are you crazy? The beautiful King Yu questions. Unless it is the decision of the Elders' Council, no one is allowed to execute the people of Sky Beyond Sky. You actually dare to ignore the rules of Sky Beyond Sky. You are too daring. Ku Wang knows that he has missed the chance to kill that brat. He throws away the bow and arrow fiercely and clenches his fist tightly. The jade handle in his hand is also crushed by him. Ku Wang, do you know your mistake? Big Miss suddenly speaks. When Ku Wang hears this, he is startled. Even Big Miss wants to punish me? I heard that Big Miss has a good relationship with King Yu. They are indeed on the same side. That's right, Big Miss is definitely supporting this war. Otherwise, how could they be able to defeat me so easily? Big Miss, this king was just a little impulsive. Ku Wang says arrogantly, Big Miss will not punish me for this kind of thing, right? After all, this king is Elder Ren's son. There are 8 elders in the council and Ku Wang is a blood relative of one of them. For grandmasters who had lost their fertility, blood relatives were extremely important. King Ku was backed by the Elders Guild, and Elder Ren doted on him a lot. Li Fan, who had stopped fighting, heard their conversation and began to speculate the identity of the eldest Mississippi. The imperial family. This woman must be the supreme existence in the realm beyond Avalon, the royal family. According to the information he had gathered about the realm beyond Avalon, the imperial family was the descendant of the person who had brought the entire realm beyond Avalon here. However, the big shot was already in a deep slumber, so the authority of his descendants was naturally not that important. The 8 elders were in control of everything. Even if the emperor wanted to make a decision, he had to first get the agreement of the elders. From the looks of it, the conflict between the royal family and the Council of Elders was not small. Li Fan suddenly had an idea. Let's not talk about the punishment for now. The eldest miss stood up and looked down at King Ku. However, you have lost this battle. Really? King Ku pointed at his remaining 400 men and the 100 left by King Song. I still have 500 men. I have not lost. I just don't want to fight anymore. The esteemed King Ku is truly shameless. The beautiful King Yu looked at King Ku coldly. Since it's like this, why don't we finish fighting and see who wins? I don't want to fight anymore. Retreat. King Ku suppressed the anger in his heart. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. He could endure for 100 years and he could endure for even longer. King Ku waved his hand and the soldiers under him immediately dispersed their battle spirits. If they did not activate their battle spirits, King Yu would not be able to get Li Fan to fight. He could only watch as King Ku swaggered away. My lord, are we going to let King Ku off just like that? Li Fan retracted his battle spirit and lifted the curtains of the camp. He walked to King Yu's side and asked, Forget it. We still won after all. Although King Yu felt slightly regretful, King Ku's background was too great. Even the eldest miss could not do anything to him, let alone her. This victory will only serve to intimidate King Ku. Li Fan said, I'm afraid it won't be long before he makes a comeback and continues to provoke our Yu city. With me here, he won't dare to do anything. The beautiful King Yu seemed to have regained her confidence. She lightly patted Li Fan's shoulder. And there's still you, right? This Deputy General Li is quite interesting. Big sister King Yu, why don't you lend him to me for a while? The eldest Mrs. sudden words caused King Yu to be stunned. Big sister King Yu, could it be that you are reluctant? The eldest Mrs. Big Eyes looked at King Yu as if she could see through his heart. That's not it. However, there is currently no one in my Yu City army. I still want him to take charge of the army and reorganize it. That's not a problem. I can let half of the Dragon Tiger cavalry stay with you temporarily. Oh, really? Hearing that, King Yu was overjoyed. Sky Beyond Heaven had raised Saint Beasts in the past. This Dragon Tiger cavalry was a hybrid between a dragon and a tiger. Later on, it was tamed into a mount. The Dragon Tiger cavalry was too powerful. A single Dragon Tiger cavalry could fight against 20 ordinary cavalry troops. Therefore, this Dragon Tiger cavalry was in the hands of the royal family. The feudal vassals below did not have the qualifications to possess it. If the royal family were to find out who secretly nurtured the Dragon Tiger cavalry, it would be equivalent to treason. As the eldest princess of the royal bloodline, the eldest Miss also had a Dragon Tiger cavalry in her hands. Although there were only 20 of them, it was still a terrifying number. Leaving half of them, 10 Dragon Tiger cavalry would be able to sweep through the surrounding countries. She really did not expect that one Li Dezhuang could be exchanged for 10 Dragon Tiger cavalry. King Yu subconsciously felt that he had made a profit. However, she was not a fool after all. After thinking about it for a bit, she felt that she had suffered too much. Although one Dragon Tiger cavalry could fight against 20 ordinary cavalry, 10 Dragon Tiger cavalry could fight against 200 ordinary cavalry. But one Li Dezhuang, he could use 30 people to fight against 800 people? And it was a complete victory. Li Dezhuang's value seemed to be even higher and there was more room for excavation. Furthermore, Li Dezhuang was very loyal to her. No matter how powerful the Dragon Tiger cavalry was, they would only stay here temporarily. They still had to listen to the eldest Mississippi. There is no need for you to hesitate. I am only borrowing him. The eldest Miss smiled and said, when did you become so stingy? All right, since the eldest Miss needs him, he should sacrifice his life for the eldest Miss. With that, King Yu turned around and looked at Li Fan with a complicated expression. He then pulled out a scarlet spear from his back and handed it to Li Fan. Li Dezhuang, this spear is the cinnabar flowing fire that I carry with me. Today, I will temporarily hand it over to you for safekeeping. Use it to protect the eldest Miss. Chapter 1699. King Yu said that you are very smart. Then you should have guessed my identity. In the middle of the night, the young Miss sat in her room and asked Li Fan, who was half kneeling in front of her. I can only guess that you are of the royal family. Li Fan did not dare to make a wild guess, but he was certain that she was from the royal family. From the attitude of King Yu and King Ke towards her, she was definitely from the royal family. Otherwise, if any random cat or dog came over, King Yu and King Ke would not even put her in their eyes. That's right, I am the first princess of the royal family, Chiyoya. The young Miss's voice was filled with pride. However, people only know about the Marquis and King, but not the royal family. After all, the royal family has not moved for a long time. Li Fan looked at the young Miss. Since King Yu has ordered me, I will protect the young Miss. You helped me because of the king of you, right? The young Miss seemed to be a little unhappy, as if she was a little jealous. However, Li Fan showed a loyal and devoted look. I am King Yu's man in life, and I am King Yu's ghost in death. The more loyal Li Fan was, the more interested this Princess Chiyoya was in him. If you are like this, how would I dare to ask you to do anything? Young Miss, please instruct me. Since King Yu has instructed me, even if I have to sacrifice my life, I will do it. Really? Chiyoya smiled sweetly, but Li Fan did not feel that this smile was very beautiful. On the contrary, he felt a hint of conspiracy in that smile. This first princess looked very pure, but her inner world was definitely not simple. He had to be careful when working with her. I am willing to sacrifice my life for you. Li Fan knelt down to express his loyalty. Chiu Ye sized him up for a while and said, "If I want you to kill someone, would you dare?" "Kill who?" Li Fan did not answer directly but asked. "King Ku." Li Fan's heart skipped a beat as he subconsciously guessed that his thoughts had been seen through. That's not right. Although this Chiu Ye's strength isn't bad, she doesn't know any mind-reading techniques. How could she know what I'm thinking? Originally, Li Fan planned to secretly become the Nemesis King, so that all the suspicion would fall on the royal family. The Council of Elders had always been at odds with the royal family. If that happened, the two sides would definitely go to war. At that time, the realm beyond Avalon would be in chaos, and he would be able to fish in troubled waters, dragging the entire realm beyond Avalon into the quagmire of war and destruction. However, now that Chiu Ye had taken the initiative to make such a request, something was not right. Li Fan did not reply. "What, you don't dare? I just don't understand. I'm just a small soldier. In terms of martial arts, you should have someone stronger by your side. My men will be sensed as soon as they approach King Ku's mansion." Chiu Ye gently played with the ring on her finger. It was a jade ring with an exquisite qilin carved on it. "They have special equipment that targets the royal family, so my people can't go." "I see. I understand now." Li Fan nodded. "Then leave it to me. This is a mission that has a slim chance of survival." Chiu Ye did not know if she was doing it for Li Fan's sake or if she was pretending to be close to Li Fan. She warned Li Fan, "If you don't succeed, King Ku will definitely execute you. If you succeed and are caught, you will be executed on the spot." "I've already made up my mind, Missy." There was no fear in Li Fan's eyes. "You're not afraid of death?" "I'm not. But because I've lived for too long." Chiu Ye pondered for a moment at Li Fan's words. "It's not a problem to live for too long." Chiu Ye continued. "The key is to live happily. The problem now is that father is going to abdicate." "Oh." When Li Fan heard this, he roughly understood why the princess was in such a hurry to act. The emperor of the realm beyond Avalon was also very bold. Why would he abdicate for no reason? However, this abdication was beneficial to him. For now, the more chaotic the situation in the realm beyond Avalon, the better. But what did Chiu Ye mean by assassinating King Ku? Li Fan's mind spun rapidly. In this fight for the throne, Chiu Ye should only be one of the candidates. There were 49 vassal states and every one of them wanted more power. What should they do? There was probably only one way, and that was to rely on one of the successors and support him to become the emperor. The realm beyond Avalon was too small. It was such a small place, yet it was divided into 49 vassal states. In comparison, the vassal states were already dissatisfied. If they were satisfied, they wouldn't be fighting so often. King Ku should be one of the supporters of Chiu Ye's opponent. Otherwise, with King Ku's power that had been suppressed by King Yu for so long, how could he nurture such a strong elite army? However, would Chiu Ye benefit from killing King Ku? Probably not. With Chiu Ye's intelligence, she should not be the direct beneficiary of King Ku's death. However, Ku Wang should be the main force behind someone's actions. Killing Ku Wang would not only weaken this person, but it would also frame the other person. It was a plan to kill two birds with one stone. If his guess was right, then Chiu Ye would be a terrifying opponent. After spending so much time with Lin Yingyan, Lu Zhu, and by Lin Luo, Li Fan felt that his intelligence was starting to increase. "You must succeed in this mission." Chiu Ye instructed Li Fan, "I will arrange for you to get close to King Ku. I will listen to Missy's arrangements." Anyway, it was something he wanted to do. Now that he had Chiu Ye's support, it was not a bad thing. However, Chiu Ye seemed to care so much about him, but after she was done with him, even if King Ku's people did not kill him, she would send people to kill him. He had to think of a way to tie the interests of both of them together. King Yu was only a chess piece in the game of power. In comparison, Chiu Ye was the real player in this game of power. He had to hold onto Chiu Ye's thigh tightly to climb to the top and complete his plan. "Alright, it's getting late. Rest early today. Ah Fu, bring him to his room." Dismiss. A middle-aged butler stood there with his head lowered respectfully. Please follow me. As Ah Fu spoke, he bowed to Missy before leading Li Fan out of the door. As they walked through the corridor, Ah Fu only showed the back of his head to Li Fan. You were too rude just now. Ah Fu suddenly spoke. His voice was filled with mockery. In the end, you are still a lowly person. You don't even know how to be polite. In the future, you are not allowed to question Missy's words. Missy's orders must be executed. Furthermore, when speaking to Missy, with your status, you must kneel. What if I don't do it? Li Fan smiled faintly. Chapter 1700. What a rude person. Butler Ah Fu doesn't know what to do with Li Fan, but he is not stingy in offering his ridicule. I really should find someone to give you a good lesson on etiquette. Do you think you know etiquette? Li Fan asks. Of course. Ah Fu stops and turns around. Looking at Li Fan, he proudly puffs out his chest. I have served the royal family for more than 700 years. I am proficient in royal etiquette and have never made a single mistake. Oh, is that so? Li Fan asks. Then did the royal etiquette you learned tell you how to treat the princess guest official? Ah Fu is choked by Li Fan's words. Indeed, although he doesn't like Li Fan's current identity is indeed the princess guest. Also, remember, I am now the Princess Death Warrior, participating in a mission with a slim chance of survival. Li Fan suddenly stretches out his hand and grabs Ah Fu's collar. I am going to throw away my life. There is no harm in killing a nagging butler like you. So, sorry. Ah Fu looks at Li Fan's fierce gaze as cold sweat drips down his forehead. He suddenly remembers that King Yu and the princess said that this Li Dezhuang was born in a remote and desolate village and has the aura of a ruffian. It was precisely because he had such a personality that he was able to train a unique army and defeat King Ku's army by taking an unconventional approach. The princess also takes a fancy to this characteristic of his. Therefore, it is better for him not to provoke this guy. Here is your room. Ah Fu becomes very obedient and quiet. He leads Li Fan to the front of the room. Call me if you need anything. Li Fan enters the room and finally lets out a long sigh of relief. Damn it, this trip to the realm beyond heavens was really torturous. Although it is a bit troublesome, everything is going according to plan. After entering the realm beyond heaven, he felt that the waters here were deeper than he had imagined. The old emperor wanted to abdicate his throne. The seemingly peaceful realm beyond Avalon was already surging with undercurrents. He had achieved a small step toward his goal. As for Wu Huang, he didn't know how he was doing. Was the emperor of the pugilistic world, who used to be so awesome, doing well as a dog of the realm beyond heaven? At this moment, the martial emperor was standing in the hall where the Elders Association was located. The hall was 10 meters high and very bright. Sunlight shone in through the windows above and fell on the 8 statues in the room. The 8 statues symbolized the 8 elders of the realm beyond heaven. Each group was 8 meters tall and had different expressions. However, all of them exuded a sense of majesty. Even the martial emperors, who were used to seeing great storms and boasted of being extraordinary, felt their bodies tremble. My goodness, these grandmasters sure know how to act tough. I really need to learn from them. Spokesperson Liao Ju, kneel down. The eyes of the statue at the very front suddenly emitted a golden light, as if it was staring at the martial emperor. At the same time, the eyes of the remaining 7 statues lit up. An unprecedented sense of pressure was exerted on the martial emperor's body. The martial emperor's body swayed slightly. He used his immortal energy to resist this terrifying pressure. 8 celestial immortals. 8 old monsters. Sure enough, their strength wasn't baseless. Just by attaching their mental energy onto the statues, they already had such shocking power. The martial monarch also understood that these fellows also wanted to take him down a notch. I am the noble martial emperor, why would I be afraid of them? When I learn the complete true immortal technique and reach the sky immortal realm, I will eliminate all of these people who have offended my dignity. Kneel! Another roar. The martial emperor gritted his teeth. Only those who suffer the most hardship can rise above others. Back then, Han Exan had also suffered humiliation. Today's humiliation, he would remember it and seek revenge in the future. Thinking of this, the martial emperor put down his precious pride and knelt before the statue in front of him. The other party seemed to be a little satisfied. Elder Ren, this subordinate did not do his job well. I had no choice but to return to sky beyond heaven and seek the help of the elders. You knelt beside the martial emperor, his face filled with fear and trepidation. I understand. Elder Ren's voice was filled with vicissitudes. This cannot be blamed on you. That Li Fan's potential has indeed exceeded our expectations. How many times have I told you, don't underestimate the Shang Fang sword? Another elder shouted through the cold statue in a flustered and exasperated manner. I have reminded you so many times, but no one took it to heart. Alright, it's no big deal. Elder Ren said, even if he is strong, he is still a human. Shang Fang sword? The martial emperor could not help but feel a little strange. Didn't this group of people come to fight against the holy beasts? Why are they related to sky beyond heaven? Since you are working for us, there is no harm in telling you. As Elder Ren spoke, the golden light in his eyes landed on Yu's body. When we, sky beyond heaven, came to this world, it was probably the time when humans fought against the holy beasts. At that time, we were the gods of humans. We have brought civilization and knowledge to mankind. However, humans actually shamelessly betrayed us. They joined hands with the holy beasts and instigated our and the humans' descendants to rebel, driving us from earth to sky beyond heaven. But before we left, we dealt a heavy blow to them. All of our descendants with our bloodline died, and after the war ended, humans became enemies with the holy beasts. Humans, this kind of lowly creature, is synonymous with evil. We, the Heaven Immortals, once had a total of 108. The elder with a bad temper roared, "It is because of that first generation's Shang Fang sword that he killed the rest of us." Killed 100 Heaven Immortals? The martial emperor was a little shocked. Holy shit, the Shang Fang sword back then was actually this powerful? Of course, it was not done by him alone. The elder continued, he used the power of the 4 holy beasts to forge the Shang Fang sword, a godly weapon used to slay gods. At the same time, he instigated our descendants to rebel and started this war against us. Even so, this Shang Fang sword still shocked the martial monarch. He had always thought that he was the strongest expert among the humans. He did not expect that other than Li Fan, there was actually such an awesome guy. Since he can do it, I can definitely do it too. The martial emperor made up his mind that he must learn the complete true immortal technique. Liao Ju, we had an agreement, but just based on the agreement, I cannot teach you the complete true immortal technique. Elder Ren's words made the martial emperor's heart skip a beat. However, according to his words, it seems like there is still a chance for things to turn around. However, you can sign a soul contract with us and the true immortal technique will be yours. You, give him the complete true immortal art. Also, give him the Beast King armor as well. Yes. You nodded, bid farewell to the elders respectfully, and then led the martial monarch out. You were too rude just now. You could not help but scold the martial monarch. Fortunately, the elders are magnanimous and did not lower themselves to your level. Otherwise, for the sake of your so-called dignity, you almost lost your only chance. The martial emperor didn't say anything. He was indeed too arrogant just now. But he had always been like this. It was just that now that he was forced to lower his head, his heart was filled with unwillingness. Li Fan had almost completely defeated him in the Vermilion Bird Pagoda. This was what the martial monarch couldn't accept. What is the Beast King armor? That is the trump card of our sky beyond sky. When our great immortal sovereign was asleep, one of his immortal pets had passed away. You explained, our sky beyond sky people used its immortal bones to forge this Beast King armor. After wearing it, it can double the user's combat power. Only double? The martial monarch was a little unsatisfied. Leaf Family Island's immortal sovereign armor can increase by 10 times. Fuck, you have the nerve to call this a trump card treasure? Cough cough. In short, This armor is very strong. Moreover, it is easy to wear and there are no side effects. You seem to have thought of the heaven-defying immortal sovereign armor. He coughed twice and continued, "This is a gift from the elders. Think about it, you can carry this armor with you at any time. An Li Fan's immortal sovereign title, can you carry it by your side every day and night?" "All right." What you said seemed to make some sense. Only then did the martial monarch reveal a happy expression. Finally, there was something to be happy about. "Follow me. What you will see next is the universe's greatest miracle." With that, you brought the martial monarch through a long corridor and down 2 flights of stairs. They arrived at the bottom of the Elders Guild's palace. The martial monarch saw a huge tomb. This tomb was even bigger than the one that he lived in back then. Furthermore, it was extremely luxurious. It was no longer just a tomb. Instead, it looked like an immortal's tomb? Just the army that was carved out of stone in this tomb should be at least tens of thousands of people, right? These are not stone sculptures. You pointed at these lifelike stone statues of soldiers and said, "These are the people who were buried here." Forced? No, voluntarily. Yu's face was also filled with excitement. The one sleeping here is the greatest immortal sovereign. To be buried with him, what an honor. Then why don't you go? The martial monarch glanced at Yu. Of course I want to. Yu was very regretful, but not everyone has the qualifications to enter this tomb. There were qualifications to be buried with him. It seemed that the legendary celestial lord was pretty awesome. Sigh, if the immortal sovereign was still alive, how could we be so tied up? Yu sighed and continued to lead the martial monarch deeper into the tomb. In front of a tomb, the martial monarch's body suddenly trembled and he subconsciously stopped. That was because he could feel an enormous power rushing towards him in waves from the tomb chamber. It formed an invisible wall that blocked his footsteps, making him not dare to approach at all. The tomb itself was very grand. Just the tomb door was 10 meters tall. Beside the wooden door, there were 2 gigantic 10-meter-tall statues guarding it. The statues had dignified expressions and were glaring at him with uncontrollable anger. Under the feet of the statues were demons and monsters. It had the meaning of subduing demons and devils, causing people to feel fear. This is the place where the immortal sovereign is sleeping. You noticed that the martial monarch was sweating cold sweat and said proudly, "If an ordinary person were to approach, they would be shocked to death by the divine might." The martial monarch did not know what to say. He could only take 2 steps back to avoid this terrifying pressure. The further he got from the tomb, the more uneasy he felt and his heart slowly dissipated. How terrifying! Fortunately, this person died early on. The martial monarch could not help but sober up. "We've arrived at the armor room." You suddenly stopped. Chapter 1702. Opening the door of the armor room, the inside is filled with all kinds of divine weapons, causing the martial emperor to be envious. My God, I never thought that the sky beyond sky would have such a huge collection. Don't move, some of the divine weapons have masters, be careful that they will bite you. Seeing the restless martial monarch, you reminded him. The martial emperor feels that he has become a bumpkin in the sky beyond sky. This is too displeasing. Sooner or later, these riches will be his. This is the general outline of the true immortal technique. Jade took out a jade slip and handed it to the martial emperor with envy. From the looks of it, even he himself has not cultivated the complete true immortal technique, right? Don't forget the oath you made. Jade reminded the martial emperor, if you betray the sky beyond sky, what awaits you is death. I know. The martial emperor kept the jade slip. His heart is already wild with joy. After mastering the divine technique, who in the world can stop me? This is the Beast King armor. Jade carefully and enviously took down a gorilla's skull from the shelf and handed it to the martial emperor. This is armor? Just a piece of skull? The martial emperor's expression is very strange. Hee, this is the immortal pet of the celestial sovereign, the skull of the jade-faced diamond. There is our sky beyond skies formation on it. You can place it on top of your head and use your immortal power to activate it. The martial emperor can only try it out and place the skull on top of his head, then infuse his precious immortal power. The skull immediately trembled and turned into pieces of white armor that covered the martial emperor's body. The shape of the armor is similar to a white furred diamond. It is very powerful. After wearing the armor, the martial emperor also felt the immortal power in his body double. He can't help but let out a long roar. The tomb also trembled, the weapons and armors on the shelf also shook. Jade was forced to take 3 steps back, his face pale. Heavens, this martial emperor, giving him such a strong power, is it really okay? If not for the white jade contract, Jade would have subconsciously wanted to escape from here. The martial emperor feels that cooperating with the sky beyond sky is like asking a tiger for its skin. But the people from the sky beyond sky also think that nurturing the martial emperor is equivalent to inviting a wolf into the house. Not bad, very strong indeed. The martial emperor stretched his muscles and bones, feeling the increase in strength. In such a case, I will have confidence and reliance in dealing with Li Fan. You have confidence, but I don't. You muttered in her heart. I hope everything goes well. We've arranged a room for you. You can cultivate well. You said, this tomb is filled with spiritual power. It's a good place to cultivate. The martial emperor laughed coldly in his heart. Seemed like the soul contract that White Jade had signed was indeed effective. Otherwise, why would they allow him to stay in such an important place to cultivate? However, he also had to be careful. Since this thing was so effective, it was better to be steady and steady. Thank you very much. Once I have mastered my divine power, I will immediately descend to the mortal world and eliminate all the mortals. The martial monarch had to say some good words first. They could deal with the matters of the future later. In the following days, it was time to concentrate on cultivation. When he came out, he would be invincible in the world. You found a tomb chamber and left it for the martial emperor. There were daily necessities and specialized maids to serve him. The martial emperor was used to living in ancient tombs, so he did not feel uncomfortable. Moreover, there was even more spiritual power here for him to absorb. Li Fan, wait for me. When I come out, it will be the day of your death. Are you ready? At this moment, Li Fan was dressed in a luxurious robe. He followed the first princess, Qiuya, into a beautiful mansion. Li Fan nodded. This was Prince Feng's birthday banquet. All the prestigious clans from all over the world would come to attend. It was obvious that King Ku was the same. The first princess, Qiuya, would also come to this mansion with the other princes to attend the birthday banquet. For the people of Realm Beyond Avalon, birthday banquets were not important. Ordinary people did not even celebrate their birthdays, and the same went for the feudal lords. However, the royal family was different. Be it the emperor, the empress, or the prince, they all had to celebrate their birthday. This was because the royal family's birthday was equivalent to a festival for the people of Realm Beyond Avalon. For Prince Feng's birthday banquet, he would also pardon the world. Anyone who committed a crime would be pardoned for 10 years. The prince would also choose 2 feudal lords and distribute 10 years' worth of immortal crystals to the people in their territories. At this moment, Li Fan had 20 immortal crystals on him. He studied them carefully. These immortal crystals contained a unique life energy that could increase a person's lifespan. It was said that these things were produced by the sleeping immortal sovereign. The energy he emitted formed this immortal crystal mine. Another idea popped into Li Fan's mind. Could it be that these people did not want the immortal sovereign to wake up and wanted him to continue sleeping? That way, immortal crystals could be produced continuously, and the people of Realm Beyond Avalon could continue to live for a long, endless time? This was one of Li Fan's black-bellied ideas, but he felt that they were on the right track. When we go in, don't talk too much. Just stay by my side. As Qiuya spoke, she took out a jade seal and slapped it on Li Fan's shoulder. The jade seal seemed to have a life of its own as it burrowed into Li Fan's muscles and grew on his right shoulder. What's this? Li Fan was a little surprised. This is my Imperial Guard, Qiuya said. Qiuya said, only I can remove it. In battle, It can transform into the most powerful armor and increase your strength. When you don't need it, it will be a symbol of your status. Fuck, is she trying to put a curse on me? Li Fan wanted to curse. He did not expect Qiuya to suddenly do this. He believed that Wei Jia, who had escaped from the royal family, was definitely not that simple. However, he was also very interested in Realm Beyond Avalon's unique way of refining weapons and armors. Realm Beyond Avalon could turn weapons and armors into these small toys, including immortal pets. They could be stored well and easily carried around. This technology was similar to Sumeru in a mustard seed. It was similar to humans' extremely small nanosystem, but it had functions that nanosystems could not do. If this technology was given to Li Jiadao to develop, it would greatly increase Li Jiadao's battle strength. For example, if they could carry their great sword guard armor with them, their battle strength could be doubled. When he returned, he would hand these over to Bai Linluo and let him help Li Jiadao's technology improve. We're here. Pay attention, don't talk too much. Chapter 1703. The princess reminded Li Fan again and again. The two of them stood in front of Prince Feng's residence, followed by 4 burly men. They were the princess' most loyal knights. Li Fan estimated that they were between low immortals and august immortals. In front of the mansion, there were also groups of guards guarding this place. 2 guards in golden royal armor immediately knelt down and paid their respects to Qiuya when they saw her approaching. "Greetings, Your Royal Highness. My uncle is a little old-fashioned." Qiuya then turned to Li Fan. "I don't like him very much, but he's still a strong supporter of the 7th Crown Prince. The most important Dragon Tiger cavalry camp of the royal family is now under his control. If that's the case, doesn't Prince Feng have any interest in the throne?" "No," Qiuya said confidently. "Uncle is obsessed with practicing martial arts and has no interest in fighting for the throne. Back then, my father was only able to register because my uncle gave it to him." "I see. But my father doesn't actually want the throne. If it wasn't for Beyond Avalon, I'm afraid he would have left long ago." "Why doesn't His Majesty want the throne?" Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Qiuya glanced at him with a half-smile. "I've said too much. I deserve to die. Remember, don't ask anything you shouldn't. Especially the secrets of the royal family. Got it?" "Got it." What else could Li Fan say? But it seemed that he had indeed stumbled upon some important information. It seemed that he had to think of a way to get this information out of her. "Greetings, Your Royal Highness." Wherever Qiuya walked, people would immediately kneel and pay their respects to her. Beyond Avalon was a place with an extremely strict hierarchy. Anyone who showed any disrespect to the royal family would be sent to work in a dark room. However, Qiuya usually didn't even spare them a glance. According to the information that Li Fan had received in the past 2 days, apart from Prince Feng, who had no interest in politics, there were 7 other crown princes vying for the throne after the old emperor abdicated. Princess Qiuya was a black-bellied woman. The second princess, Qiulan, was said to be a very unruly princess and a strong competitor for Qiuya. Third princess Qiu Shuang was an innocent girl. Qiuya's evaluation of her was that she was not worth considering. As for the other 4 princes, the eldest prince, Qiuyu, was the one Qiuya feared the most. He was ambitious and had the support of Prince Feng. And his advantageous opponent was the second prince, Autumn Water. This second prince was humble and refined, and was loved and liked by the people. The other 2 were the third prince Qiunan and the fourth prince Qiuyi. Qiunan was cowardly, and he still relied on Qiuya to survive. He was not worth mentioning. As for Autumn Leaf, it was said that the old emperor doted on him the most. However, he was like Prince Feng, a pure martial arts fanatic. For so many years, he had always been traveling outside, almost never showing his face. "You will see the first prince soon." Qiuya did not forget to remind Li Fan, with his personality, he will definitely try to rope you in. When the time comes, I don't need to teach you how to answer him, right? In life, I belong to the first princess. In death, I belong to the first princess. Very good. Qiuya nodded in satisfaction. Maintain this state. Li Fan followed Qiuya and entered 8 courtyards in a row. Finally, they arrived at the inner yard. The moment he stepped into the inner court, he saw a large hall facing the entrance. The courtyard was decorated with lanterns and banners, and it was full of guests. In the hall, a middle-aged man in a golden robe was surrounded by a crowd. His face was full of smiles, and he seemed to be very happy. 2 handsome young men stood beside him. One had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and he walked with a majestic gait. The other was dressed in white and held a folding fan in his hand. He was elegant and humble. Needless to say, these 2 must be the first prince, Xiaoyu, and the second prince, Autumn Water. Greetings, first princess. When Qiuya walked in, many of the surrounding guests immediately knelt to greet her. Qiuya, you're finally here. The first prince laughed and walked up to greet her. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Li Fan saw Kuwang standing at the side, staring at them with a resentful gaze. Royal sister. Autumn Water nodded at her sister. Qiuya walked up to Li Fan and handed the gift in his hand to the housekeeper. Royal uncle, long time no see. Have you become a peerless expert? Hee you lass. The first thing you do is to tease me. Prince Feng chuckled. Ever since the celestial sovereign, there hasn't been a sky immortal expert in our royal family. How can I not work hard? Don't tell me I'm like you, lass. You don't have the heart to cultivate, and your strength has regressed. Royal uncle, you're the one teasing me. Qiuya was a little embarrassed. If I had half of your talent, I would have become a great expert a long time ago. You should learn from Big Brother when you're free. His martial arts have improved recently. Big Brother was none other than the first prince, Qiuyu. Aya, my meager abilities are not worth mentioning in front of Imperial Uncle. Qiuyu waved his hand. But I'm the strongest among you guys. Royal Brother's martial arts skills are indeed enviable. Autumn Water waved her fan calmly. You're our role model. Huh, just learn from me. Qiuyu wasn't humble at all in front of his brothers. Instead, he laughed heartily. When I become the emperor, I'll definitely encourage everyone to practice martial arts. Isn't it too early for Royal Brother to say that? Autumn Water looked at her brother provocatively. Moreover, you might not be the strongest among us in terms of martial arts, right? What do you mean? Qiuyu was a little annoyed. Fight me if you have the guts. Royal Brother, I have something to say to you. The second prince pointed at his head. The second prince pointed at his head. To be an emperor, you need more than just force. You need brains. You said I have no brains. The first prince was furious. Just as he was about to flare up, Qiuya reminded him. Royal Brother, today is Royal Uncle's birthday. Oomph. Qiuyu understood what Qiuya meant. Even if they wanted to fight, they couldn't do it today. You guys should stop fighting. Sit down and have a drink. Prince Feng didn't like these people arguing. It was just the throne. What was there to fight about? This must be Li Dezhuang, Deputy General Li, right? Autumn Water waved her fan and looked at Li Fan. I heard that you're a godly commander. No wonder Royal Sister brought you along. You flatter me, second prince. Li Fan cupped his fists and half knelt on the ground. Deputy General Li is indeed a talent. Qiuya smiled. When we attack the human world in the future, he can still serve the royal family. Chapter 1704. Hearing this, Li Fan's heart skipped a beat. Had they finally gotten to the main topic? Since I'm a godly strategist, why don't I have Deputy General Li follow me? The first prince spoke up again. I will definitely be the vanguard in the future war against the humans. We're all members of the royal family. Why must we draw such a clear distinction? Autumn Water smiled. I think it's a good idea to have Deputy General Li follow Royal Sister. However, when I think about how King Ku, whom you have always praised, was defeated so easily, I can't help but feel a little regretful. That's because he's too stupid. The first prince harumphed. He let down my hopes in him. King Ku trembled at the side, not daring to make a sound. Although the royal family wasn't as prestigious as they used to be, the first prince was an exception. The first prince had 100 dragon tiger cavalrymen under his command, and he had the support of Prince Feng. It could be said that the first prince's strength was enough to intimidate all the vassals. It was all thanks to the first prince's help that he was able to develop so quickly. The other princes relied on the support of the vassals. The first prince was an exception. He supported the vassals and kept them firmly by his side. However, this was also a disadvantage of the first prince. Because the first prince had too much power, many vassals didn't want him to become the emperor. How outstanding can a refugee from the wildlands be? Just as the three members of the royal family were arguing, a clear voice suddenly came from outside the door. Everyone turned around and saw a tall, beautiful woman walking in from the door. She looked similar to Chiuya, but with a sharper edge and shrewdness in her eyes. I don't believe it. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Chiuya smiled. How much of it do you believe? This was the second princess, Xiu Lan. I believe in myself. Xiu Lan bowed at Lord Feng before taking a seat next to the eldest prince. She glanced at Li Fan casually. My royal sister seems to be in desperate need of talents lately. She's not picky at all. She can recruit anyone as her royal guard. Every single member of the Imperial Guard is a carefully selected elite. Imperial sister, don't lower their value. Sister, you don't know about this. The second prince, Autumn Water, fanned himself and chuckled. This Deputy General Li is worthy of 10 dragon and tiger riders. My royal sister is confused. Second Princess Lan curled her lips. Even if his chances of winning aren't as high as ours, he doesn't have to make himself look so bad. How could someone who could turn my king nemesis into such a state be mediocre? The eldest imperial prince was not in the mood to put in a good word for Li Fan, but to belittle Li Fan was to belittle the dukes that he had raised with his own hands. He slammed the table and stood up. If you're not satisfied, you can find someone to fight with the Ku Wang. There's no need to fight once. However, Autumn Water said, today is Imperial Uncle's birthday. It's a joyous day. I think, why don't we have some fun? What prize? Everyone turned to look at him. Even Prince Wind was curious. Let's see if this Deputy General Li is worthy of 10 dragon and tiger riders. Autumn Water suddenly closed his fan. His actions reminded Li Fan of Jiang Feng. The two of them were quite similar. It seemed that no matter where he went, there would be such people. What do you think? Qiu Lan's interest was piqued. My royal sister and I will each select 5 dragon and tiger riders from our camps and form a team to compete with Deputy General Li. What do you think? Autumn Water suggested. As long as Deputy General Li can last 10 rounds against them, he'll prove his worth. How can he deal with 10 dragon and tiger riders alone? Chiuya frowned. Aren't you making things difficult for him? I'm just trying to prove his worth. Autumn Water silently dispelled her royal sister's anger. Sister, you don't want others to doubt your judgment, right? I think so. Let's do it this way. The eldest imperial prince made up his mind on this matter. Regardless of whether this Deputy General Li was truly capable or not, since he was not one of his people, then he would use his 2 sisters-in-law's hands to destroy him here. How could a newly promoted deputy general be a match for 10 dragon and tiger riders? Once they reached a wider area, they would be able to kill Deputy General Li with a single charge. A young and hot-blooded general like him would be able to break his spirit and make him lose his will to fight. Shouldn't we ask Imperial Uncle first? Chiuya bowed to Prince Wind. Imperial Uncle, what do you think? Let's have a match. Prince Wind was also interested. It's a war spirit anyway. It won't hurt even if he loses. But how can he demonstrate his godly military skills if he's alone? Chiuya tried to fight for Li Fan's trump card. At least give Deputy General Li some regular cavalry. There's no need. Li Fan smiled. Just give me a Pegasus. Li Fan's temper flared. These people want to play with me? Then let's see who's playing with whom. I'll take this opportunity to witness the so-called dragon and tiger riders' battle prowess. Have you thought it through? At that moment, even Chiyoya thought that Li Fan was out of his mind. These were 10 Dragon Tiger riders, not ordinary Pegasus riders. He was no longer confident, but arrogant. "Don't worry, eldest princess. I won't tarnish your reputation." As Li Fan spoke, he stretched out his hand, and the scarlet spear fell into his hand. "So what if I have 100, let alone 10? Good, good, good. I, Chiyoyu, will look up to you for having such courage." The crown prince laughed heartily. "Men, clean up the courtyard. Let's see for ourselves whether Deputy General Li is as powerful as he claims. All right, send someone to bring my Ruby over. I'll lend it to Deputy General Li." Ruby was a divine steed raised by the first imperial prince. Although it couldn't compare to the dragon and tiger riders, it was much stronger than the Pegasus. It was unknown if the first imperial prince was helping Li Fan out of goodwill or if he wanted to see Li Fan make a fool of himself. Everyone left the hall and came to the spacious courtyard. Very quickly, a servant led a scarlet horse into the courtyard. 10 dragon and tiger riders were standing in front of them. They were indeed riding strange beasts. Each of them was 5 meters long with a dragon head and tiger body. They spat out flames and rode on clouds. They looked extremely ferocious. Facing these fierce beasts, Ruby acted like a good steed. It only stepped on its hooves uneasily and didn't retreat. "What a good horse." Li Fan couldn't help but praise. "Since you have courage, I can't be inferior." As he spoke, he released his own battle spirit and instantly put on a set of golden Imperial Guard armor. He held the cinnabar flowing fire that King Chu gave him and jumped onto the horse. Chapter 1705. The Dragon Tiger Cavalry was the most elite cavalry of Beyond Avalon. A single Dragon Tiger Cavalry could take on 20 Pegasus riders. However, Li Fan had done the exact opposite. He had openly challenged 10 Dragon Tiger riders on the day of Lord Wind's birthday celebration in the courtyard of his residence. The 10 Dragon Tiger riders looked at Li Fan lazily, some even looking at him with disdain. This person must be crazy to challenge 10 Dragon Tiger cavalrymen at once. Was he out of his mind? Not to mention 10, even if there was only one, it would be enough to completely destroy him. "Brother, how many rounds do you think he can last?" Chiyo Lan crossed her arms and looked at the formation in front of her as she asked the second prince. "Since my sister thinks so highly of him, he should be able to last until the second round." The second prince continued fanning himself as he made his deduction. "Let's see how he performs." The first prince stared at Li Fan as well. "Don't end it too early. Otherwise, it'll be boring." Chiyoya stood at the side with a frown. She could only be a bystander. She knew that she would be targeted this time, but she did not expect the crown princes to be so direct. "What's going on? It looks interesting. Why are there Dragon Tiger cavalrymen here? It's so scary." 2 more crown princes walked over. Prince Feng was elated when he saw them. "Schwanger, Nanner, come and watch the show." "There's a show." A pair of young crown princes walked over. It was a boy and a girl. Judging from their appearance, they were only 16 or 17 years old. However, Li Fan knew that the age of Beyond Avalon was not as simple as it seemed. These 2 should be the third prince, Chiyo Nan, and the third princess, Chiyo Shuang. One was timid while the other was naive. They walked over hand in hand. Chiyo Nan was practically hiding behind his sister. He was avoiding eye contact as if he was afraid of the Dragon Tiger cavalrymen. "Aya, what are you afraid of? Dragon Tiger cavalrymen are fun." Chiyo Shuang was young as well, but she acted like an older sister in front of her younger brother. "I'll give you a ride some other day." No, what if I get hurt?" "He's a boy, what's there to be afraid of?" Imperial uncle, why is he fighting against the Dragon Tiger cavalry?" Seeing Li Fan standing there, riding on her brother's Ruby, facing the 10 Dragon Tiger riders, Chiyo Shuang could not help but feel puzzled. Are they going to perform? Something like that? Duke Feng really liked these 2 kids. He patted Chiyo Shuang's shoulder and said, "This little general wants to challenge the 10 Dragon Tiger riders single-handedly." "He's crazy." Qiu Nan was scared out of his wits. Isn't that suicide? So exciting! Qiu Shuang was a little excited. This person is really bold. Isn't he afraid of getting hurt? Battle spirit, what are you afraid of? But if the battle spirit collapses, it'll be hard to bear without immortal energy. Qiu Nan seemed to have some bad memories. When are you going to be more daring? Qiu Shuang was exasperated, but she couldn't care less about her silly little brother anymore. The little general before her seemed to be quite awe-inspiring. Riding on her brother's ruby, he held a vermilion spear in his hand, wore the armor of the royal guards, and had a scarlet cape on his back. He looked as cool as could be. Either way, he deserved a thumbs up for having the courage to fight the Dragon Tiger Riders. Qiu Nan, do you have any more of the unfettered powder I gave you last time? I do. What are you going to do with it? When this warrior's battle spirit is destroyed, I'll give him some. Qiu Shuang whispered. Are you crazy? He's one of eldest sister's men. If she finds out, she'll think that you're trying to rope her in. That's why I have to do it secretly. I know my sister. She won't care if the warrior gets hurt. All right, Qiu Nan was quite obedient to his sister. Almost no one thought highly of Li Fan, and the 10 Dragon Tiger Riders didn't even spare him a glance. Who's going to take care of him so that we can enjoy the fine wine of Duke Feng's residence? Asked one of the Dragon Tiger Riders. I'll go. A Dragon Tiger Rider on the far left stepped forward. Dragging the crescent blade that was specially made for Dragon Tiger Riders, he stepped forward with his mount spewing flames. The Dragon Tiger Riders were ferocious beasts with immense strength. Every step they took made the ground tremble. I'll be right back. As he spoke, he kicked the stomach of the Dragon Tiger Beast with his legs. The Dragon Tiger Beast immediately roared and charged towards Li Fan amidst the waves of flames. The Crescent Moon Blade was also raised high, ready to slash Li Fan's battle spirit with a single slash. In a battle on horseback, Li Fan wasn't as good as Guan Wenbao. But that didn't mean that he didn't know how to fight. Li Fan had already come up with a plan to deal with the Dragon Tiger Riders. Their mounts were ferocious, but the riders were dumb. They relied entirely on their beasts to charge forward. It was as if a young man who didn't know how to shoot a gun could just kill people blindly with a machine gun. An experienced marksman would usually be able to kill such a brainless person with a single shot. Facing the ferocious Dragon Tiger Rider, Ruby was a little restless. However, Li Fan comforted it, calmed it down, and waited for a thunderous strike. When the Dragon Tiger Rider reached Li Fan, the ferocious divine beast suddenly leaped and pounced at Li Fan. The rider on its head followed closely behind with his crescent blade. The Dragon Tiger Rider spat out a wave of flames, but Li Fan suddenly flicked his spear, parting the flames and piercing one of its eyes. Roar! The Dragon Tiger Rider cried out in pain and fell to the ground. It rolled on the ground and threw the rider off its back. Li Fan arrived on horseback and pierced the rider's throat with his spear. He lifted the rider high into the air and defeated its battle spirit. One man, one mount, one spear. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw how the invincible Dragon Tiger Rider was dealt with so cleanly. Qiu smiled. She smiled very happily. This time, Deputy General Li had made her proud. She felt very happy when she saw the dumbfounded expressions of her brothers and sisters. Exhilarating, this is too exhilarating. Who's next? Li Fan urged his horse to stand there, holding a vermilion spear, pointing at the remaining dragon and tiger riders on the opposite side, and asked. The remaining 9 people looked at each other, and all of them flew into a rage out of humiliation. Damn it, this kid actually looked down on us. Formation. The 9 Dragon Tiger Riders lined up in a row like a small city wall. Attack! The 9 Dragon Tiger Riders rode on the waves of flames and charged at Li Fan. Their imposing manner was extremely shocking, as if they could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. But Li Fan did not have the slightest bit of fear. Instead, he raised his spear, whipped his horse and charged at the Dragon Tiger Riders. The scarlet cape fluttered behind him. Qiu Shuang's young maiden heart also jumped. Chapter 1706. In the face of such a powerful enemy, most people would either be scared out of their wits or turn around and run. However, this puny deputy general Li bravely raised the great spear in his hand and charged towards the terrifying dragon tiger riders. If he's not confident, then he's crazy. Seeing Li Fan about to be drowned by the dragon tiger cavalry, Qiu Lan could not help but shake her head. She did not seem to appreciate Li Fan's recklessness. In the next moment, the two groups of cavalry finally met. Li Fan's spear parted the waves of fire and accurately pierced the throat of a dragon tiger cavalry, sending him flying. The ruby warhorse that he was riding on was knocked to the ground by the dragon tiger beast, and Li Fan was thrown out as well. Li Fan somersaulted in the air and landed steadily on the ground. But the ruby was trampled by a dragon tiger beast. It whimpered a few times and struggled to get up, but it was powerless. Sorry, friend. Li Fan squatted on the ground and gently stroked the ruby's neck. I could not protect you. Rest for a while. As Li Fan spoke, he stabbed his spear into the ground and carried the ruby with both hands. He placed it at the side of the courtyard and let it rest. Go check on the ruby's injuries. After all, it was the first prince's favorite horse. Qiu Yu hurriedly ordered the vet to treat this divine steed. Li Fan returned to the battlefield. He pulled out his scarlet spear and held it in his hand. Li Fan had already persisted for 2 rounds, but his horse was also scrapped. This person is very brave and his marksmanship is not bad. The second prince waved his fan and gave a positive evaluation of Li Fan. But now that he no longer has the ruby, I'm afraid he will be torn to pieces by the dragon tiger cavalry. It was indeed 2 rounds. The first prince nodded. It is already very good. Unfortunately, he is still not comparable to 10 dragon tiger cavalry. Royal sister, this time, you've made a loss. Just as the crowd was about to mock them, the remaining 8 dragon tiger cavalrymen seemed to have run out of patience and charged again. How could they not fly into a rage out of humiliation after failing to kill this little deputy general 2 times in a row? The rumbling sound attracted everyone's attention again. In the blink of an eye, the dragon tiger cavalry arrived in front of Li Fan. However, Li Fan took a step back and dodged the crescent blades of the dragon tiger riders by a hair's breadth. At the same time, he stabbed the great spear in his hand into the chin of one of the dragon tiger beasts. Then, he used the momentum of the dragon tiger beast's charge to fling it into the air. In the end, the dragon tiger beast crashed into the ground. Even the dracatiger beast would not be able to withstand such a severe injury. The knight on top was thrown to the ground. He flipped in the air and was about to land on the ground. However, Li Fan had suddenly appeared beneath him. He raised his great spear and sent him flying. Boom! The wall of the courtyard was smashed through and the knight was crippled. The remaining 7 dragon tiger cavalrymen were about to stop and prepare for the next wave of charge. However, Li Fan suddenly jumped onto the back of a dragon tiger beast. Before the knight could react, Li Fan used his spear to pick him up and threw him off the back of the dragon tiger beast. In just a short while, Li Fan had already killed 4 dragon tiger cavalrymen. The crown princes were speechless. Even Qiu herself was extremely shocked. However, the remaining dragon tiger cavalrymen were not willing to admit defeat. They controlled their dragon tiger beasts and surrounded Li Fan from all directions. The crescent blades in their hands slashed towards Li Fan's head. However, Li Fan jumped up high and dodged the blades. At the same time, he threw his scarlet great spear towards a dragon tiger beast in front of him. Bang! The dragon tiger beast's head was nailed to the ground. The knight on top was still charging forward. When the dragon tiger beast knelt down, he also fell forward. Li Fan raised his leg and kicked the knight's head. The knight's head spun around and his body flew out, smashing into the courtyard outside. Li Fan stretched out his hand and pulled out the scarlet great spear. He flung the cape on his back and stared at the remaining dragon tiger cavalrymen like a tiger watching its prey. These dragon tiger cavalrymen finally know fear. They, who had always been successful in every endeavor, actually met such a terrifying opponent today. The remaining 5 dragon tiger beasts also felt Li Fan's terror and became a little restless. This fellow did not show any mercy when killing their companions. The ferocious beasts who were used to being domineering on normal days finally knew fear today. For the honor of the Dragon Tiger Cavalryman. A knight suddenly roared. He kicked the Dragon Tiger beast below him. The nails on his shoe pierced into the Dragon Tiger beast's skin, causing it to go berserk. The other companions also followed suit. The 5 Dragon Tiger beasts went berserk and roared at Li Fan together. The entire courtyard seemed to be trembling. Qiu Nan was so scared that he curled up into a ball. Some of the weaker people were also trembling. But Li Fan did not care. He stabbed his spear to the side and circulated his qi in his dantian. Instead, he roared at the Dragon Tiger beasts. Ferocious aura erupted. A few Dragon Tiger beasts were actually afraid of Li Fan's aura. They wailed and turned to run. No matter how the knights on their bodies tried to control them, it was useless. 2 of them were even quite irritated. They actually left their master behind and only cared about running for their lives. Actually, with Li Fan's strength, if he did not use the War Dragon roar, it would be very difficult to intimidate these beasts. But he had just killed a few Dragon Tiger beasts. Ferocious aura enveloped his body. With just a roar, the remaining Dragon Tiger cavalrymen were so scared that they peed their pants. If these people had a monologue in their hearts, they would probably say, "What the hell are you fighting for? Let's just run away." Everyone was dumbfounded. Fuck you, what kind of situation is this? These were not some rotten fish or prawns. They were the most elite Dragon Tiger cavalrymen in Heavens Beyond. 1 Dragon Tiger cavalryman could challenge 20 Heavens horses. So, Dragon Tiger cavalrymen in Heavens Beyond were absolute combat power. But today, they were all defeated in the hands of a mere deputy general. If this deputy general was an exalted immortal or a heaven immortal, then forget it. The strength he displayed was only between an immortal slave and a lower immortal. What this person relied on was his adaptable mind and superb spear handling skills. No matter what, he really did it. This person is so powerful. Seeing that the Dragon Tiger cavalrymen were defeated, Qiu Nan finally stood up. He looked at Li Fan enviously. If only I was as strong as him. Yes, so strong. Qiu Shuang looked at Li Fan. She could not take her eyes off him. Reporting to Princess, I did not disappoint you. Li Fan walked back in big strides and half knelt in front of Qiu. Qiu's eyes were still a little dazed. She suddenly woke up and coughed dryly. She stretched out her hand to help Li Fan up. Deputy General Li really has the power of 10 Dragon Tiger cavalrymen. Oh no, it's 100 Dragon Tiger cavalrymen. Chapter 1707. Everyone looked at Qiu with jealousy. With such a general, Qiu would have a better chance in the fight for the throne. Damn it. Some people looked at Li Fan with more ferocity in their eyes. However, Li Fan had expected this. In order to climb to a higher position, he could no longer keep a low profile. Good, good, good. Prince Feng seemed to have finally returned to his senses. He clapped his hands and shouted good 3 times. You're truly a fierce general of Beyond Avalon. Not bad at all. Since you've challenged the Dragon Tiger Cavalry, I'll grant you the title of Dragon Tiger General. What do you think? Qiu was surprised that Prince Feng had given him such a high evaluation. Dragon Tiger General. The general. In the hierarchy of Beyond Avalon, a general was second only to a duke. Uncle, isn't it inappropriate to give him such a high position? Qiu Lan couldn't help asking. But, are you teaching me how to do things now? Prince Feng frowned and glanced at Qiu Lan. Your niece wouldn't dare. Qiu Lan jumped in fright and immediately knelt on the ground, apologizing to Prince Feng. Your niece has been rude. Don't be disgruntled. You can call out one of your subordinates and let him challenge 10 Dragon Tiger Cavalry. If he wins, I'll give him the same title too. How could Qiu Lan have such a powerful subordinate? If she did, she would wake up laughing in her dreams. Look at Qiu's smug face. She was really lucky to be able to poach such a powerful person from under King Yu's hands. Congratulations to Royal Sister for having such a fierce general supporting you. It was hard to tell if Autumn Water was sincere or not, but she congratulated Chiyoya. It's all for the sake of the royal family. Chiyoya tried her best to appear indifferent. You'll be the Dragon Tiger General from now on. Don't be too proud. Li Fan cupped his fists. I'm willing to sacrifice my life for the royal family and protect the peace of Beyond Avalon. Alright. Get someone to clean up the yard. Let's go back and drink. Prince Feng waved his hand and led the crowd back to their drinking rooms. My royal sister. First Prince Chiyoyu suddenly raised his wineglass and said to Chiyoya while they were at the table. As you know, I'm currently training an expeditionary force. Expeditionary army? Chiyoya raised her eyebrows. Didn't we give up on this plan? No male Grandmaster warriors are willing to be castrated and join the army. Yes, but I thought of a way to solve this problem today. As the eldest prince spoke, he took out a glistening golden pill from his bosom and placed it on the table. What is this? This is called the passionless pill. The first prince's words attracted the attention of the other crown princes. As long as you take the passionless pill, you will temporarily forget about your 7 emotions and 6 desires. You will also forget about the matters of love. No one would want to eat this thing, right? It's not permanent. The eldest prince took out a white pill and placed it beside the passionless pill. This is the antidote. After eating it, the effects of the passionless pill will be neutralized. Li Fan's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. Did Grandmaster Outland actually develop such a pill? If they really consumed it in large quantities, wouldn't Grandmaster Outland send out a powerful army to suppress the humans? This is a good thing. Hearing this, Chiyoya could not help but admire her brother. After all, returning to the human continent was the dream of everyone in Grandmaster Outland. Before the next day of hibernation, we can send out an expeditionary force. Day of hibernation? This was the first time Li Fan heard of this term. What did it mean? What a pity. The eldest prince sighed. Before the day of hibernation, we can only develop 2 passionless pills. Only 2? Chiyoya was shocked. How is that enough? This thing is very difficult to develop. We need a large amount of precious medicinal ingredients to refine it. It would be great if we had more time. Unfortunately, the next day of hibernation is very close. Chiyoya sighed. 1 year is far from enough. But we should at least prepare first. We have already waited for so long. Another 100 years won't make a difference. Li Fan silently memorized these 2 numbers. 1 year, 100 years. He roughly calculated in his heart. Grandmaster Outland did not live like this all the time. Every once in a while, they would enter a so-called day of hibernation. This day of hibernation would last for about 100 years. It seems like all our hopes are placed on that spokesperson, Liao Ju. Humans cannot be trusted. Qiulan emphasized. The decision of the Elders Guild this time is wrong. We cannot completely rely on their plan. Let's hope that we can cultivate a powerful expeditionary force as soon as possible. As long as we have 100 troops and 100 Dragon Tiger cavalry, we can completely sweep the human world. The eldest prince also looked very anxious. The Dragon Tiger General is a suitable candidate. Let him help me. How about it? Li Fan and Chiyoya were a little happy in their hearts. The eldest prince's request was exactly what they wanted. Chiyoya was thinking of letting Li Fan take the opportunity to hide beside the eldest prince. Then they could find a chance to get rid of King Ku and push the blame to the second prince, Xiao Shui. As for Li Fan, he was thinking of letting me train the expeditionary force. See if I don't train them into idiots. But at this moment, Xiao Shuang suddenly raised her hand and shouted. Imperial brother, Imperial sister, why don't you let me have the Dragon Tiger General and let him teach me combat techniques? The crown princes all looked at Xiao Shuang. Xiao Shuang continued, since the day of hibernation is near, it is useless even if you train the Dragon Tiger cavalry for a year. Why don't you let me and Qiunan have him? You all know that Qiunan is a coward. Isn't it better to let the general train us? Teach him. Li Fan was a little evil. But this is not the main point. You little lass, don't spoil things. That's a good idea. The eldest prince thought that this fellow was Qiu Ya's man after all. It wasn't suitable to rope him in. Why not let him stay beside Qiu Shuang and train his character first? When he couldn't take it anymore, he would then extend an olive branch. Wouldn't that make him more loyal to him? Qiu Ya was also muttering. Even if Li Fan went to the eldest prince's side, her brother would probably be wary of him. Using a year's time to lower her brother's wariness seemed like a good idea. The key was Qiu Shuang. Qiu Shuang and Qiu Nan were still young and had the temperament of a child. They had no interest in the throne. Letting the general follow Qiu Shuang seemed like the best choice. Even Qiu Shui and Qiu Lan felt that it was feasible. The few of them didn't want the eldest prince or eldest princess to be too strong. They were naturally happy to weaken them. Then it's decided. The few crown princes discussed and actually agreed. Li Fan was about to cry. Chapter 1708. Everything was going smoothly and he was about to enter the center of power and get closer to his goal. In the end, he somehow became the little princess's teacher? Are you kidding me? What's the use of being a teacher? That's not what I want to do. Can't I change my position? Li Fan could only shout these words in his heart. In the end, he still had to work for the third princess, Qiu Shuang. I know that it's a waste of talent to make you our teacher. Qiu Shuang was a little mischievous and seemed to have seen through Li Fan's thoughts. But it's only a year's time. I hope you can forgive us and teach us more. Li Fan really couldn't get angry. This little girl was quite lively and interesting. She seemed to be different from her two sisters. He might be able to find out more useful information by following her. General, teach the third princess and the third prince well. After the hibernation day, come to my camp and help me train the expeditionary army. The prince also comforted Li Fan. He had to make use of this 1 year's time to get closer to Li Fan. The closer he was to Li Fan, the more advantageous it would be for him. Take your time. Qiu Ya also comforted Li Fan in a low voice. The opportunity will come. I will definitely do my job well as a teacher. Li Fan had no choice but to agree. Take one step at a time. Sometimes, you can't take too big of a step, otherwise, you might injure your vital parts. After that, the prince's residence was filled with people toasting each other and exchanging cups. It was very lively. Although these princes were secretly fighting each other, they still acted as if they were close brothers on the surface. After the banquet, everyone formed their own groups and discussed their own matters. Li Fan was dragged by Qiu Shuang and Qiu Nan to another corner. Teacher, please take care of me in the future. Qiu Shuang was very polite and bowed to Li Fan. As for Qiu Nan, he hid behind his sister and looked at Li Fan timidly. This was not how a prince should behave. Li Fan muttered to himself. Could it be that this prince had some unspeakable past? Psychological trauma? Teacher's battle is truly admirable. What's there to admire about a battle? Li Fan smiled. Any battle is violent. Since it is violence, it is not worthy of praise. But Qiu Shuang covered her little mouth and looked at Li Fan in surprise. Don't let my uncle hear what you said. Why? Because he's a martial arts fanatic. I love fighting. A martial arts competition is fundamentally different from a war. Li Fan explained. If it's a martial arts competition, it's more like a competition. But the meaning of war is completely different. Hey, this is so hard to understand. Qiu Shuang shook her head. She had never considered these questions before. I heard that humans are always at war. Wait till we move to the humans' land, we will probably understand what is going on. Li Fan didn't say much. There were too many people here and they couldn't talk about everything. Grand General, can you teach me your spear art? Qiu Nan popped his head out and asked. Sure, but you will not be able to learn this set of spear art if you are so timid. Wait till I master this set of spear art and can protect myself. I won't be so timid then. Third Prince puffed up his chest and said. What teacher means is that if you want to master this set of spear art, you need to be fearless and unafraid of death. Qiu Shuang's comprehension ability was very high. If you are so afraid, you will not be able to master this set of spear art. Li Fan couldn't help but look at Qiu Shuang. Does the royal family have the top student gene? Qiu Shuang understood his spear art just by watching him fight? Indeed, the way he used the spear was very dangerous. Basically, it was a life and death battle with the opponent. But Li Fan was usually the one who won the battle. His spear would always be able to pierce into the opponent's vital point first. It was very impressive that Qiu Shuang could understand it so quickly. Looks like you guys are having a good chat. Qiu Ye had changed into an exquisite qipao and was walking toward Li Fan and the rest with her slender legs. One had to admit that Qiu Ye's legs were quite beautiful. Third princess is very talented and third prince has a good temperament. Li Fan said. Yes, the two of them are quite smart. You should teach them more. If there are any difficulties, just tell me. Royal sister, why are you so worried about me? I will take good care of him. Qiu Shuang giggled and went forward to hold her sister's arm. When we conquer the human world in the future, I can still contribute to our royal family. When Li Fan heard this, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Even if she was naive, she was still brainwashed by Beyond Avalon. To the people of Beyond Avalon, they could never coexist with humans. This was Beyond Avalon, a place where he couldn't be soft-hearted. Come to my room tonight, Qiu Ye said to Li Fan when no one was looking. Then, Qiu Ye turned and left. Why did she want him to go in the middle of the night? This Qiu Ye was also very mysterious. Not long after Qiu Ye left, the first prince, Qiu Yu, walked over. Qiu Shuang wanted to talk to Li Fan but stopped herself. Great General, come, let me propose a toast to you. The first prince had a bright smile on his face. I admire young heroes like you. Royal brother, don't get my teacher drunk. Qiu Shuang reminded her brother. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. The first prince put his arm around Li Fan's shoulder and said, Come to my room tonight for a drink. I would like to consult you about the expeditionary army. All right. Li Fan couldn't reject this. This was also a good opportunity for him to get close to the first prince. The first prince turned and left after achieving his goal. Teacher, Just as Qiu Shuang was about to speak, Autumn Water waved her fan and walked to Li Fan's side. General Li, I had some prejudice against you previously. I hope you won't take it to heart. Li Fan said, You said you won't take it to heart and I won't take it to heart? What kind of person do you think I, Li Fan, am? This is a treasure flower pearl. There's a lot of spirit energy hidden inside. It can double your cultivation speed. As Autumn Water spoke, she took out a blue night pearl from her sleeve and stuffed it into Li Fan's hand. The moment the pearl entered his hand, Li Fan immediately felt a warm sensation flowing from his palm into his Taiji diagram. Second prince, don't say that. I've long heard of your wisdom and martial prowess. Li Fan put on a big smile. In fact, I came out of the Green Mountains because I admired the second prince. I wanted to join the second prince. Chapter 1709. Aya, what a pity. You actually met royal sister first. The second prince also felt that it was a pity. Since everyone is free tonight, why not come to my room and have a chat? We can drink and talk about life. How about that? I'll do as you say. Li Fan directly agreed. The second prince was very satisfied. He patted Li Fan's shoulder and turned to leave. Teacher, Third Princess Qiu Shuang hurriedly wanted to say something, but another discordant voice flew out. Yo, our superstar, why are you hiding here? Qiu Lan also put her hands on her waist and walked over. She looked at Li Fan with a provocative gaze. Greetings, second princess. Li Fan bowed. I wonder what advice does second princess have for me? It's good that you know I'm second princess. Qiu Lan crossed her arms and looked at Li Fan arrogantly. I can give you a chance to serve this princess. I'm really sorry. Li Fan tactfully rejected. I'm already the teacher of third princess and third prince. When Li Fan heard this, third princess Qiu Shuang seemed to heave a sigh of relief. You dare to reject me? Qiu Lan was furious. I'm sorry, this is an order from the crown princes. Li Fan politely said, "If second princess wishes for me to serve you, then please take back your order." Li Fan was very cunning and kicked the ball back to the crown princess. Qiu Lan angrily took 2 deep breaths to calm her emotions. "General Li, you are really impressive. There are too many people here. This princess is not willing to talk nonsense with you. Obediently scram to this princess door tonight and kneel down to beg me. Otherwise, you can wait to die." Finishing her words, Qiu Lan stomped away. This woman was really unruly. "Teacher, you're so busy." Qiu Shuang looked at Li Fan and winked at him. "Do you still have time to sleep tonight?" No choice. They are all crown princes. I don't dare to reject any of them." Li Fan could only helplessly shrug his shoulders. "I'm already very satisfied that you don't treat me like a slave. Don't worry, teacher. After today, you will belong to me completely." Qiu Shuang comforted Li Fan. "I won't let you work so hard. You just need to attend my lessons every day." "Yes, Your Royal Highness." Hee hee. Qiu Shuang seemed to be very happy. She was probably the only one among the crown princes who wanted to rope in Li Fan, not because of internal politics. Li Fan stood there like a loyal guard beside Qiu Shuang and Qiu Nan. The two of them also had many questions to ask Li Fan. With a sense of novelty, they surrounded Li Fan and kept asking questions. Li Fan casually chatted with them. After all, they were 2 naive kids. Li Fan soon got some information that he wanted to know from them. Heavens Beyond was indeed a mysterious place. Although the people here had long lives and could use immortal crystals to extend their lifespans, the energy in Heavens Beyond was getting thinner and thinner. The immortal reverend could only produce a limited amount of immortal crystals. He would rest every 100 years for 100 years. Considering this point, the elders of Heavens Beyond decided to let all the people go into hibernation every 100 years. They would only wake up after 100 years. It was the same this time. In another year, the people of Heavens Beyond would enter hibernation together. There was no other reason. The immortal reverend could not produce an unlimited amount of immortal crystals. He had to absorb the energy from heaven and earth and turn it into immortal crystals. However, the energy in Heavens Beyond was indeed getting lesser and lesser. Soon, it would be depleted. Earth and the human world were the only hope of Heavens Beyond. However, the 2 races were at odds with each other. They could not tolerate each other. To the people of Heavens Beyond, humans were pests. They were destructive to them. As for humans, ever since they were born, they were the highest level of life on Earth. If there was anything that could step on them, it would be impossible. However, Li Fan was a human after all. He could not work for Heavens Beyond. This was the fundamental difference between him and a martial emperor. They could not be compared. "It's getting late. Teacher, are you going to get busy?" As they chatted, the sky turned dark. The guests in the house had already left. The moon was hanging high in the sky. The moonlight shone on Qiu Shuang's pretty face. "Don't worry. I will be back soon." Li Fan seemed to see the worry in Qiu Shuang's eyes. He comforted Qiu Shuang and put her at ease. "I've only met this little girl once, but she seems to care about me quite a bit. However, she only wanted to learn how to kill from him. Then she would use it to conquer the humans. Teacher, I live in the east wing of the 3rd courtyard. You can find me when you are done. Also, royal sister and royal brother live in the east wing of the 2nd courtyard. You can find them there." Thank you for the reminder. If she was not an enemy, this girl was not bad. He turned and left the room. He walked towards the courtyard outside. The night was quiet. The guards in the imperial residence were still tight. However, when they saw the royal guard insignia on Li Fan's chest, they let him pass. Qiu was right. This thing was quite useful. I heard that they weren't there. This guy single-handedly defeated 10 Dragon Tiger riders. Really? Is it a rumor? No. Little Tiger is in the inner courtyard. He saw it with his own eyes. So powerful, Li Fan could still hear the discussions of these people, but he did not care. He had originally wanted to be high profile, and the more people talked about him, the better. The martial emperor should have reached Heavens Beyond and was probably increasing his strength. His time was limited. He had to get in touch with the real core. The core of heavens beyond was the Elders' Council. It would be best if he could get close to it. If he could not, he would use the power of the royal family to destroy the Elders' Council. The few big shots of the royal family, the eldest prince, second prince, eldest princess, and second princess, were all ambitious people. Maybe when the third princess and the third prince grew up, they would also become like this. Stop. Who is it? When he was about to enter the second courtyard, 2 royal guards stopped Li Fan. Li Fan did not say anything. He pointed at the insignia on his shoulder. It's you. The eldest princess attendant. One of the royal guards remembered. Don't talk nonsense. He is the third princess teacher. The other guard was more cautious. This is not a place you should be. Go back. All right. Li Fan did not say much because he had already sensed that someone was coming. 2 idiots. Let him in. The eldest princess' voice sounded. The 2 guards were stunned for a moment. Then, they respectfully let Li Fan in. Chapter 1710. The first princess personally came out to invite Li Fan. The other guards did not dare to think too much and obediently let Li Fan in. Why are you so late? Chiyoya was wearing a black muslin dress. Her legs were faintly discernible under the hem of the dress. It was very alluring. However, Li Fan could not take his eyes off her. This kind of temptation was too low for him. After living with so many beauties every day, Li Fan's immunity had already reached a very high level. Let alone the 4 beautiful sword maids. Each of them was a national beauty. Li Fan was able to hold his ground in front of these 4 beautiful swordsmen who were almost at the mercy of anyone. So how could he fall for this pair of beautiful legs? Chiyoya seemed to be a little annoyed when she realized that Li Fan did not care much about her legs. She secretly stretched out her hand and lifted the hem of her dress a little, as if she was inviting Li Fan to come in. Your Royal Highness, may I know why you are inviting me so late at night? Li Fan's eyes almost turned dirty. This first princess was really putting in a lot of effort to keep his heart. As a dignified first princess, she even did something like seducing him. She was really going all out. From this, it could be seen how important the throne of the emperor was to them. Indeed, the realm beyond Avalon might not need to hide in such a place anymore. It could directly enter the human world and start a new chapter. There were abundant resources and vast land there. The meaning of becoming the emperor would be even more valuable. For this position, it was understandable that the crown princes would fight openly and covertly. But you are not willing to see me even if there is nothing else? Chiyoya's voice was slightly resentful. Li Fan laughed dryly. What are you talking about? In my heart, I can't wait to see the first princess. But really? The first princess is a national beauty with a charming temperament. Other than me, which man would not care about you? Li Fan's words made Chiyoya feel a little better. At least he knew how to talk. Now that you are with the third princess, is your heart over? The first princess seemed to be pointing something at Li Fan. Li Fan quickly expressed his loyalty. I won't. I will sacrifice my life for the first princess. Helping the third princess is just teaching them fighting skills and martial arts. That's great. Chiyoya nodded. Don't forget, you're my man. If I find out that you're not faithful to me, I won't let you off. The first princess is right. I definitely won't forget. Li Fan muttered to himself, this Chiyoya is really trying to get something for nothing. Unlike the second prince, who was so generous and gave out a treasure pearl. You are a very talented person, I know that. The first princess seemed to have seen through Li Fan's thoughts. Don't worry. Once the assassination is over and I ascend the throne, I will take you as my concubine. Li Fan was embarrassed. Damn, who wants to be your concubine? I have countless harems. What do you have? 3 boobs. Take this sovereign armor as a token of love from me. Fuck, this can be called a token of love? Then aren't these royal guards all your little lovers? Li Fan was a little speechless. Isn't the first princess Chiyoya a little too stingy? However, when he thought about it, he realized that she had exchanged 10 dragon tiger riders for him, so his mood became slightly better. Perhaps, the only wealth that the eldest princess had was her dragon tiger mount. Alright, it's not suitable for us to meet for a long time now. After the first princess said this, she looked around. They were currently behind a fake mountain in the courtyard. It was very quiet here, very suitable for a secret love affair. But the first princess probably didn't have such thoughts. She suddenly took out a dagger from her bosom and passed it to Li Fan. This dagger was cold to the touch and carried a dense cold air. One look and one could tell that it was not an ordinary item. Li Fan muttered in his heart, "Is this also a token of love? Isn't it a little too fierce?" This is a precious weapon of our royal family. The first princess lowered her voice and told Li Fan, "This dagger is called soul-severing. Other than its sharpness that can cut through metal, its greatest use is to assassinate souls." Why did the first princess give me this? For self-defense? How did you become so stupid? The first princess rolled her eyes at Li Fan. "Don't you understand what I mean? This dagger can stab a battle spirit." Li Fan suddenly understood. There was actually such a heaven-defying dagger? If you use this dagger, even if someone releases his battle spirit, you can still kill him. A trace of craftiness flashed in the first princess' eyes. This woman was indeed very sinister. Li Fan smiled in his heart and silently kept the dagger. "I have even given you such a secret treasure. You should know how good I am to you, right?" The first princess nodded at Li Fan. "The other crown princes must have invited you as well. Go ahead. Just pretend to be courteous with them." Li Fan just wanted to give the first princess a thumbs up for her intelligence. This woman was quite something. Li Fan beat her at her own game and reluctantly bid farewell to the first princess. The first princess was too smart, but she was often the victim of her own cleverness. Li Fan turned around and headed for the wing of the second courtyard. He could tell who was staying in which room by judging the aura. The largest room in front of him should be the eldest prince's. Although Prince Feng was biased against the crown princes, he still treated them equally on the surface and arranged for them to stay in the wing. However, the eldest prince's room was obviously the most luxurious and magnificent. The door of the room was wide open and the interior was brightly lit. 2 guards stood at the door. When they saw Li Fan approaching, they seemed to have received orders and didn't stop him. Could it be that Brother Li is here?" The eldest prince came out to greet Li Fan before he could enter. At this moment, the first prince was wearing a close-fitting light yellow robe. He appeared very casual and very enthusiastic. He grabbed Li Fan's hands in one go. "Brother Li, I knew it was you the moment I heard your footsteps. Come in and sit. Servants, serve tea." 2 maids immediately served the 2 immortal tea. The tea was freshly brewed and served in jade cups. It was steaming and fragrant. Behind the steam was the eldest prince's face brimming with enthusiasm. "Here, have some hot tea to warm your stomach. I've ordered someone to boil some of my treasured wine." As he spoke, 2 bottles of Maotai were brought out and placed on the table. Li Fan's eyes were glued to them. "Surprised, right? This isn't wine from beyond heaven," the eldest prince said generously. "I had you bring this wine from the human realm. It's called Maotai or something. I heard it tastes good. I've always been reluctant to drink it, but thanks to you today, I can finally satisfy the hunger in my stomach." Chapter 17:11. After defeating the Dragon Tiger Cavalry, a small soldier like Li Fan became popular. Even the crown prince brought the best wine in the world just to get close to Li Fan. Li Fan could not help but sigh. Humans always fantasize about how great it would be if they could taste the immortal dew wine of an immortal. But now, this so-called immortal realm actually treats the humans' Maotai wine as a treasure. "Come, let us brothers have a good drink." After tasting the immortal tea and warming his stomach, the crown prince took the initiative to pour a cup of Maotai wine for Li Fan. "Brother Li, I feel that we are fated. Look at how brave you are. Why didn't you join the army earlier?" I originally had no intention of fighting, but I was forced to leave my hometown and wandered in a foreign land. In order to make a living, I could only join the army. Li Fan pretended to be very pitiful. I understand you. The crown prince warmly patted Li Fan's shoulder, as if the two of them were really good friends. King Qingqiu is a tyrannical person, I don't like him either. The crown prince reprimanded, but he has the support of the Elders' Council and the protection of autumn water. Even I can't do anything to him. Your Highness doesn't have a good relationship with the Elders' Council? Li Fan felt a little strange. There were some things that he could directly ask. I heard that King Ku is Elder Ren's blood relative, and isn't King Ku one of your people? The Elders' Council isn't decided by Elder Ren alone. The Crown Prince waved his hand. In the entire Elders' Council, only Elder Ren is good. He followed the ancestor immortal sovereign to heaven beyond heaven and can be considered loyal. But the other 7 can't. These 7 people control the Elders' Council and suppress the royal family. This is too much. We are only able to survive until now because of Lord Immortal Sovereign. This Elders' Council actually dares to take Immortal Sovereign's immortal body hostage and become arrogant. Just hearing about it makes me angry. Isn't that so? The Crown Prince heavily slammed the table. When I become the Emperor of Heaven beyond heaven, I will suppress the Elders' Council. I will let these ungrateful old things know how powerful they are. To be at the first prince's beck and call. Li Fan knelt down and said loudly, at that time, I will be the vanguard and kill those ingrates. Good. You are indeed someone that I have my eyes on. The great imperial prince laughed loudly and helped Li Fan up, stuffing the wine cup into his hands. You and I are brothers, so there's no need for such formalities. Come, drink this cup of wine and follow me to war in the future. All right. Li Fan picked up the wine glass and downed it in one gulp. The burning sensation of alcohol was dispersed from his body. Although the wine was hot, the heart was cold. The first prince had poured his heart out to him just to use him as cannon fodder. If he really became the emperor, he would go and punish the Elders Guild on his behalf. Once he succeeded, he would naturally be invincible in the world. If he failed, he could just say that he acted on his own and that it had nothing to do with him. These princes had lived for a long time and were smart. They were all smart and not a single one of them was a fool. Li Fan drank a few more cups of wine with the first prince. The two of them called each other brothers and were just short of a blood oath. Old brother, it's getting late. Why don't you sleep at my place? Wouldn't it be nice to talk by candlelight? Your Highness's kindness moves this general. Li Fan wiped his tears and said, but the third princess said that I must return before midnight. This general has already promised her. This child is actually pestering you. The first prince laughed, but that's right. At her age, she already likes a hero like you. Your Highness is flattering this general. This general is not a hero. Don't talk like this general. This general said that we should call each other brothers. How could you forget? Little brother knows his mistake. That's right. That's more like it. All right, then I won't stop you, lest third sister nags me later. Outside the door is a gift for you. Old brother, remember to take it with you. Thank you, big brother. Little brother, it would be impolite to refuse. Li Fan muttered in his heart. What gift did this first prince give him this time? As soon as he stepped out of the door, he immediately saw the blood-red ruby standing there, hissing at him in a low voice. My goodness, he actually gave this ruby to me? This first prince was quite generous. It was said that this ruby was his favorite steed. Usually he was reluctant to ride it. But today he gave it to me. That's right. To him, between the ruby and the throne was definitely more important. The ruby was a divine steed. Li Fan liked it a lot. He led the ruby to the fake mountain. He tied the ruby to the stone pillar and patted its head. Wait here for me for a while. I'll go take a look at the next one. With that, Li Fan took out 10 immortal crystals from his pocket and handed it to the ruby. The ruby swallowed the immortal crystals and began to chew. The Pegasus of heavens beyond Avalon ate the best fodder. It was said that the ruby only ate immortal crystals like the dragon tiger beast. The prince had given him the ruby. Other than trying to please him, he had also added a big hole for him to burn money. He probably wanted to tie him up financially as well. Good. I'll be back soon. Li Fan turned and went to another room. The person who lived here was none other than the second prince. What surprised Li Fan was that there was not a single guard in front of the second prince's door. There was only a small lamp in the room. It was very quiet. Could it be that the second prince was not here? Is Brother Li here? Please come in. As if sensing him, the second prince's gentle voice came from the room. Li Fan opened the door and walked in. He saw the second prince sitting in front of the table. He was holding a book in his hand and reading it with great interest. Greetings, Your Highness. Li Fan knelt down and bowed to the second prince. Brother Li, you don't have to be so polite. Sit down. The second prince gestured for Li Fan to sit opposite him. Li Fan did as he was told. Brother Li has the smell of a Pegasus. The second prince sniffed and smiled. My royal brother is really generous. He even gave you the ruby. Li Fan was startled. Motherfucker, these guys were really smart. How did he manage to guess it? Your Highness, I'm really sorry. When I saw this BMW, I couldn't help but like it. It's okay. The second prince waved his hand and looked at Li Fan with a smile. A hero should be matched with a BMW. That ruby is more suitable for a brave warrior like you. My poor royal brother. He only thinks that you are brave, but he doesn't know that you are a true talented warrior. Your Highness's words are too much. Your tactics are not what a brave warrior can do. You are very smart and resourceful. At the critical moment, you can put yourself in a desperate situation and come back to life. The second prince put down the book and looked at Li Fan seriously. It's a pity that a talent like you is only a general. Chapter 1712. What did the second prince mean? Li Fan was confused. He did not understand what these people were trying to do. Did the second prince want to inflate his ego by praising him so much? The only thing my brother can promise you is the position of a general, Yi Zichen said. The second prince guessed. Don't be fooled by how he treats you like a brother. When the time comes, you will be discarded as a pawn. Your Highness, this. He treats his own brother like this, let alone an outsider. The second prince snorted. He had even revealed some secrets of the royal family. There were indeed many stories between these princes. But what concerned Li Fan the most was the story of the old emperor. Why did the old emperor want to abdicate? If he did not abdicate, he would not have caused so much trouble. My brother is too arrogant. The second prince picked up his folding fan. After opening it, he slowly fanned it in a very elegant manner. Did he tell you that he wants to overthrow the elders? Huh? This. You don't have to answer. I know what I'm doing. The second prince stared into Li Fan's eyes. But the elders have been operating in Beyond Avalon for so many years. Their influence has penetrated every corner of the world and they are deeply rooted. Even you, I can't guarantee that you're not sent by the elders to disintegrate our royal family. The second prince was very daring. Unfortunately, he was thinking in the wrong direction. He was not a member of the elders, nor did he want to disintegrate the royal family. He was an earthling. He wanted to disintegrate the entire Beyond Avalon. Although the elders are very powerful, they have always respected the royal family. As the crown prince, I have been taken care of by them. But Elder Ren is an exception. That Elder Ren is very ambitious. He wants to get rid of the other elders and rule over Beyond Avalon. My brother was bewitched by him to have such an idea. The Elder Ren, who was kind and loyal in the eyes of the first prince, had become a devil in the eyes of the second prince. You are a man of insight. You shouldn't have been used by my brother and Elder Ren, Yi Futian said. Thank you for the reminder, Your Highness. You're welcome. After all, I've misunderstood you before, but misunderstandings will eventually be resolved. As the second prince spoke, his eyes wandered over Li Fan's body, as if he was making a decision. Brother Li, if I told you to join the Elder Council, would you be interested? Li Fan was shocked. Was this even possible? Of course, it's not that easy. However, as long as I become the emperor and get rid of the ambitious elder Ren, there will be an empty seat in the elder council. At that time, this position can be yours. If it was an ordinary person, they would have been moved by these words. The second prince was not a normal person. How could he make such an awesome promise? However, it was obvious that the second prince was supported by the Elders Guild. Currently, the two biggest competitors for the throne were the first prince and the second prince. One had the support of Prince Wind, while the other had the backing of the Council of Elders. If Qiuya wanted to stand out, she would need his help. If Ku Wang was killed, everyone would definitely think that it was the second prince who did it. Both of them would probably lose the right to compete. When that happened, the real beneficiary would be Qiuya. This was a risky move, but one that had to be taken. Brother Li, what do you think? Can I really join the Elder Council? Li Fan showed a look of enthusiasm, and the second prince was proud. Of course. Once a promise is made, it cannot be taken back. If it was anyone else, they would probably be moved. The Elder Council, the path to the realm beyond Avalon was almost completely blocked. How could an ordinary person be qualified to join the Elder Council? They might not even be qualified to meet them. Now, a huge temptation was right in front of him. Think about it. I'm not in a hurry to hear your answer. As the second prince spoke, he took out a key carved from white jade and placed it in front of Li Fan. Your Highness, this is? This is the pass to the immortal's tomb. The second prince's words made Li Fan's heart beat faster. With this key, you can enter and exit the immortal's tomb freely. The immortal's tomb is rich in spiritual energy. If you cultivate there with the help of the treasure pearl, you will improve by leaps and bounds. Holy shit, this second prince is really generous. Not only did he promise me a high position and a generous reward, he even gave me such a big gift. The three princes were all fighting over Li Fan. This also brought all sorts of benefits to Li Fan. He was practically fattening up. Alright, think about it carefully. It's getting late. Go back and rest early. Thank you, Your Highness. I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. As Li Fan spoke, he bowed to the second prince again before leaving his house. Li Fan felt that he had earned hundreds of millions that night. If they knew that not only could he not help them, but he was also going to destroy the realm beyond Avalon, what would their expressions be? It's better to go back quickly. It's indeed getting late. I don't want to cause any unnecessary misunderstandings and affect my plan. Where are you going? Just as Li Fan was about to take the horse and leave, a voice suddenly rang in his ear. How audacious of you! Get back here! As the voice fell, a woman appeared in front of Li Fan. She reached out and pulled him to the rockery, then stared at him fiercely. Second princess. It's getting late. You should go back and rest. Li Fan smiled bitterly. This woman, Qiu Lan, actually chased after him. Li Dezhuang, you actually disobeyed this princess's order. Chapter 1713. You are too presumptuous. Second Princess Qiu Lan clenches her teeth. She is really angry. You are disobeying orders. I'm going to tell on you. Second Princess, didn't you want me to help you? Why do you still want to report me? Li Fan smiles. Wouldn't that make me hate you even more? If I hate you, how can I help you? You are not allowed to hate me. Even if I stab you, you are not allowed to hate me. Second Princess makes Li Fan retract his previous view of the imperial family. The dragon gave birth to 9 sons, each one is different. Although most of these princes are smart, there are still some idiots. This princess wants to be the empress. You must help me. Second Princess, your brothers and sisters all want to be the emperor. They are all so good to me. Tell me, why don't I help them but you? This woman doesn't have any sense of logic. This princess is different from them. Second Princess thinks for a moment and says, this princess is destined to be the empress. I am the one who is destined to be the empress. I don't think you can be the empress. Li Fan touches his chin and says, however, there is a position that you have no problem with. You can take it. What position? Be a pet? Bastard. Who wants to be a pet? You dare to mock me? Second princess is furious. This Li Dezhuang, he is a bastard. This princess wants to kill you. Qiu Lan is used to being willful. Unexpectedly, there is a person in front of her who is constantly disobeying her orders. Well, maybe she is not stupid. Qiu Lan carries her scimitar and directly rushes in front of Li Fan. The scimitar in her hand directly stabs into Li Fan's chest. Li Fan's body slightly trembles. Blood flows out from the scimitar. Qiu Lan's eyes widen. She lets go of the scimitar and takes 2 steps back. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't. Second princess thought that she killed someone and ran away in fear. Li Fan pulled out the scimitar from his chest and threw it aside. He rubbed the slowly healing wound and couldn't help but curse. Damn it, this girl could really do it. It hurt so much. It took a lot of effort for him to forcefully retract his diamond body. After scaring this girl, she wouldn't dare to provoke him in the future. Li Fan walked back to where the horse was tied. Ruby was standing there, tapping her hooves anxiously. Sorry to keep you waiting. Li Fan stepped forward and patted its head. Only then did the Ruby calm down. Let's go back. Li Fan held Ruby's hand and walked back to his room. Third Princess Qiu Shuang stayed in a wing of the third courtyard. This small courtyard was quite unique, and there were some unknown flowers and plants planted in it. Li Fan brought the ruby inside and handed it to a servant to look after, while he walked towards his room. In this row of wing rooms, Li Fan lived in the room furthest to the side. He wasn't picky. He pushed open the door and walked in. Who knew that in the room, a girl was lying on the table, snoring loudly. Li Fan was taken aback. Fuck, third princess? Why wasn't this girl sleeping in her room? What was she doing here? And wasn't anyone guarding her in the middle of the night? Li Fan took a look and saw that the window was open. Did this girl sneak in through the window? This little girl was too daring. Li Fan didn't dare to wake Qiu Shuang up. He tiptoed over, took off his coat, and draped it over Qiu Shuang. Then he prepared to leave the room. It was better for a man and a woman not to be in the same room together. Just as Li Fan took a step out, he heard a lazy voice behind him. Li Fan turned back and saw that Qiu Shuang had woken up. She was rubbing her eyes and looking at Li Fan in a daze. Third princess. Li Fan knelt down in front of the third princess as he mumbled in his heart. Damn it, I'll never stop kneeling. This bunch of people from the royal family are too hard to please. Teacher, I'm sorry. I accidentally fell asleep. Qiu Shuang didn't know if it was because she was sleeping or because she was embarrassed, but her face was slightly red. Third princess can sleep wherever she wants. This is also the third princess room. Li Fan said hurriedly. Third princess, have you been waiting for me here all this while? Yes, because I have something to talk to teacher about. In the end, I couldn't help but fall asleep while waiting. I've embarrassed myself in front of teacher. No, I'm just worried about your health. I'm fine. Teacher, you don't have to be so polite. The third princess walked over and stretched out her hand to help Li Fan up. Third princess, may I know why you waited so late into the night? Li Fan was a little puzzled. Even if the princess admired him a little, there was no need for her to wait so late, right? Nothing much. I'm just a little worried that you won't be able to come back. Qiu Shuang was a little shy. That kind of shyness that only a young girl would have really made Li Fan move. It is quite surprising that there is such a refreshing feeling in the royal family. Don't worry. This general will definitely not leave. You don't have to call this general. You are now my teacher. The third princess draped Li Fan's clothes and said, You can just chat with me normally. Moreover, I still have to follow teacher's instructions. Teacher, do you have anything that you want me to do? Looking at the little beauty standing in front of him, that slim and youthful figure, that delicate and pretty face, Li Fan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Ba, what am I thinking? I came to heavens beyond for proper business, not to fool around. Third princess, about the training, let's wait until we return to your residence before we start. But I heard that it's better to start training as early as possible. The third princess said, Third brother and I have been pampered since young. Other than cultivating the true immortal arts, we have never trained in any other martial arts. I heard that the humans' martial arts are very powerful. If I don't train in martial arts, how am I going to fight with them? Third princess, do you really want to start a war with the humans? That's right. Qiu Shuang nodded. Is there a problem? Qiu Shuang asked matter-of-factly, causing Li Fan to not know how to answer. No matter what, everyone is an enemy. Then there is no rush to train tonight. Why don't we chat for a while and let me understand Princess a little? Li Fan suggested. Sure, I can also understand teacher better. Qiu Shuang was very happy as she sat opposite Li Fan. Then she propped her chin and looked at him curiously. Third princess, do you like war a lot? Li Fan asked. I don't. Qiu Shuang shook her head, but humans are our mortal enemies. My mother was killed by humans. So, I want to take revenge. Perhaps the humans had long forgotten about the war, but the people of heavens beyond still clearly remember that pain. Chapter 1714. Therefore, Li Fan didn't like war, but the war with Beyond Avalon was unavoidable. Teacher's battle tactics, if used on the expeditionary army, would be like adding wings to a tiger. The third princess continued, at that time, you would be an important official of Beyond Avalon. I, a little princess, wouldn't dare to let you be my teacher. Therefore, I must make use of this year's time to learn from you. Teacher, please take care of me. This third princess had quite a character. She waited for Li Fan for so long just to say these words. The little princess stood up and bowed respectfully to Li Fan. To be honest, putting aside their standpoints, Li Fan was still touched by how third princess Qiu Shuang treated him. Qiu Shuang wasn't like the first prince and the second prince. They treated him well because they wanted to rope him in and make use of him. The reason why Qiu Shuang was so respectful to him was purely because she admired him. This was the pure feelings of a young girl, beautiful and fragile. Li Fan saw that it was getting late, so he advised, Third princess, it's getting late. You should go back and rest. Okay, I won't disturb teacher's rest. Qiu Shuang nodded. Goodbye, teacher. With that, the young girl was satisfied and left happily. To her, this seemed to be enough. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. This Qiu Shuang had a different kind of charm. The innocence of a young girl was very attractive. A red bird flew in from the window and landed in front of Li Fan. Oh, you also think that she's not bad? Li Fan looked at Yang Weining's incarnation and chatted with her. Yes, she's quite an innocent young girl. The bird seemed to be saying something that only Li Fan could understand. I don't have such thoughts. After all, she is from Beyond Avalon. Li Fan said, I just want to get some useful information from her. Okay, don't worry. If it's possible, I won't hurt her. If outsiders saw this, they would definitely think that Li Fan was a lunatic. He actually talked to a bird. There is no chance of reconciliation between the humans and the realm beyond Avalon. Both sides will fight to the death. Li Fan emphasized, as you can see, no matter which crown prince, even if they don't want to fight for the throne, they will still want to suppress the humans and occupy their land and resources. The only thing I can do is to try my best to turn everything around and let the realm beyond Avalon fight among itself. After communicating with Yang Weining for a while, Li Fan checked his doors and windows, then sat on his bed and began to cultivate. He took out the treasure pearl given to him by the second prince. It was said that with this pearl, one's cultivation speed would be doubled. Such a heaven-defying pearl was definitely the treasure that Li Fan needed the most. The pearl wasn't big, about the size of a pigeon's egg. After Li Fan washed it clean, he placed it in his mouth and circulated his cultivation technique. What Li Fan cultivated was not the true immortal art, but the yin and yang reversal technique. His internal energy continuously revolved in his body, then it was released and slowly retracted. Over and over again, it cleansed and increased the power in Li Fan's body. After coming to the realm beyond Avalon, Li Fan almost didn't have time to cultivate properly. If he didn't cultivate properly, he was afraid that the martial emperor would surpass him. The internal energy flowed in Li Fan's body. In the process of improvement, it was also transforming Li Fan's body bit by bit. The human body had its limits. If it was just the original body, it would be very difficult to cultivate to a higher level. The martial emperor relied on the true immortal art to refine his body. Jiang Feng fell into the Azura path. With the help of the nano core, he had a tyrannical body like a demon. Li Fan, on the other hand, had fused with the nano system and swallowed a dragon. His body had long surpassed that of an ordinary human and was getting closer to a real dragon. However, it was only getting closer. Even if he was a dragon, if he appeared in human form, the strength of his body would also be limited. This was something the Dragon Lady had told Li Fan when she first met him. Therefore, improving the strength of one's body was also a way to cultivate. In the gravity room, Li Fan relied on the gravitational force to increase the density of his muscles and bones. After that, he created the diamond body, which allowed him to completely defeat the martial emperor in the Vermilion Bird Pagoda. What Li Fan needed to do now was to continue to train his diamond body. He wanted every muscle and every cell in his body to be tempered. The surrounding vital energy was constantly being absorbed into Li Fan's body. As the Taiji diagram revolved, it became a part of him. Li Fan could feel that there were hundreds of millions of him now. These were all cells in his body, waiting to be tempered one by one. It was a lot of work, but Li Fan believed that he could complete it. With the help of the treasure flower bead, the speed should be even faster. Li Fan constantly absorbed vital energy, allowing it to temper these cells. In just one night, he had probably tempered less than 0.002% of his cells. Looks like I still have to go to the immortal Venerate tomb to take a look. Li Fan thought about the key to the ancient tomb that the second prince had given him. Since he was in the sky beyond Avalon, he should go and take a look. The sky was starting to brighten. According to today's schedule, Li Fan was going to follow Princess Qiu Shuang to her fief, Shuang. The fief of the royal family was not proportional to the feudal vassals. It was especially so for third Princess Qiu Shuang. It was said that her fief was only the size of a small district and had a population of 300 to 400. Such a small place, if it were on Earth, would probably only be a village. For example, the Li family island that Li Fan managed already had a population of more than 1 million. Teacher, I'm really sorry. On the carriage back, Qiu Shuang was still a little embarrassed. She apologized to Li Fan. My fief is a little small. I've wronged teacher. Not really. Small places have their own benefits, after all. Li Fan rode on the ruby and followed beside the carriage. He smiled. Don't always think of going to the big city. Green Hill is also very big. Didn't I still leave from there? King Green Hill is probably regretting it now. Qiu Shuang giggled. Qiu Nan and I got lucky. As a member of the royal family who was also learning from Li Fan, Qiu Nan decided to follow him to his sister's fief. That's really unbelievable. Royal brother actually gave you the ruby. Qiu Shuang sat in the carriage and looked at Li Fan enviously. In the past, when I wanted to ride the ruby, royal brother's heart ached so much that he wouldn't let me. What's wrong with that? Come and ride it. Li Fan laughed. He reached out and grabbed Qiu Shuang's arm. With a slight tug, he pulled Qiu Shuang up from the carriage and pulled her in front of him. He made her sit on the ruby. The ruby was tall and big. It was no problem for two people to sit on it. But Qiu Shuang's little face turned red. Chapter 1715. In Qiu Shuang's heart, she does like Li Fan, this young hero. Although Qiu Shuang is a crown prince, she doesn't go out much. The royal family is like an ivory tower, protecting the crown princes. Even in the world of heavens beyond, as the third princess, Qiu Shuang doesn't know much. When she starts to grow up, she is surrounded by all kinds of people who protect her. The most outstanding men are the two royal brothers. The rest of the men are either respectful to her or have ulterior motives towards her. Qiu Shuang is not interested in them at all. Until the appearance of Li Fan. This man is really different. He completely broke the rules of heavens beyond, and in a short period of time, he became a hot figure among the crown princes. When this man wore a scarlet cloak, rode on Ruby and fought against the Dragon Tiger cavalry alone, Qiu Shuang's heart was fiercely pulled and then she was dragged away by him. Fortunately, there is only 1 year before it is the day of hibernation again. Otherwise, he would have been poached away by the other crown princes to fulfill their ambitions. This is the first time Qiu Shuang is so grateful for the day of hibernation. When I go to Earth, it will be better. There are abundant resources and elemental energy there. Lord Immortal Sovereign will definitely be able to produce more immortal crystals. At that time, I won't need to hibernation anymore. Is it fun? Li Fan's words awakened Qiu Shuang from her young girl's imagination. It's quite fun, Qiu Shuang says a little shyly. Ruby is indeed a fine horse. When Qiu Shuang sits on it, she doesn't feel any bumps. The key is that she is leaning in Li Fan's arms. This kind of close contact and Li Fan's masculine scent makes the young girl's heart beat faster. And Ruby is very obedient. It's fine for you to ride alone. Do you want to try? It's better for you to ride with me. Qiu Shuang hurriedly says, I don't dare to ride alone. Aren't you quite bold? Yes, sometimes it's an exception, Qiu Shuang emphasizes. Don't let go. Okay, don't worry, I won't let go. Li Fan comforted the little princess. He seemed to be able to feel that the little princess's heart was beating very fast. She was probably afraid. I'm relieved that you're here, Qiu Shuang said happily. The feeling of being gently protected in his arms was really good. Because Princess Qiu Shuang was still young, she did not have the qualifications to use the Dragon Tiger mount. As requested, all 10 of her Dragon Tiger cavalrymen remained in the frozen land. There were only 20 ordinary Pegasus riders following them. 10 of them were Qiunan's guards. Although they were the 2 crown princes, they looked rather pitiful. Perhaps it was because they did not have the qualifications to compete for the throne that they were safer. The 4 crown princes were competing fiercely, and none of them paid attention to their 2 young sisters-in-law. After climbing over this mountain, we will arrive at my fief. Qiu Shuang pointed forward. When we reach the fief, I'll treat you to a drink. Does the 3rd princess also like to drink? I'm fine. It's mainly because our fief produces a fine wine called 9 Days Dream. 9 Days Dream, this name was quite interesting. After drinking this wine, you will be drunk for 9 days, and every day will be a beautiful dream. So powerful? Li Fan asked. Could this be industrial alcohol? Yes, so I hope that teacher can try it. Qiu Shuang's impatient look made her look like a little girl waiting to show off her toys to her friends. All right, I will definitely try it. Just as Li Fan was curious about what kind of fine wine it was, their team gradually entered the depths of the mountain. This was a very narrow plank road, and the side was a cliff. But for the Pegasus, it was nothing. Even Qiu Shuang's horse carriage passed it easily. But at this moment, Li Fan suddenly frowned. He wrapped an arm around Qiu Shuang's slender waist and protected her in his arms. Qiu Shuang's body froze. She felt numb and limp. This is too daring, Prince. Be careful. Someone is coming. Li Fan did not have any other thoughts. He frowned and instructed the team behind him, everyone be careful. They are not friendly. General Li, aren't you being a little too cautious? The leader of the team was also a veteran. He rode his war horse and casually walked on the plank road. I don't know what methods this guy used, but in the blink of an eye, he actually became a very popular person. Even the princess wanted him to be her teacher. What did this kid do to deserve this? When I was fighting on horseback, who knows where he was farming? This is the princess and the prince's team, who dares to be rash. The leader did not believe that anyone would dare to make a move on them. Just at this moment, a whistle came from the top of the mountain. Following that, at least 10 assassins dressed in black jumped down from the top of the mountain. These assassins did not use their battle spirits, and only attacked with their bodies. All of them were experts close to the exalted immortal level. Their attacks were vicious, and the cavalry could not charge. In an instant, over 10 cavalry were killed by the assassins. The previously confident leader was now dumbfounded. Protect the princess, protect the prince. He led the remaining 5 cavalry and surrounded Li Fan and the horse carriage. Princess, don't panic. I will protect you. The captain pulled out his sword and shouted. I am not panicking. With teacher here, it will be fine. The princess was very calm. She pulled Xiao Nan onto the red gem, as though it was safer there. The leader could no longer be bothered with jealousy. The 10 assassins were closing in like tigers eyeing their prey, ready to attack at any time. Who are you people? Tell me your names. The leader roared at them, attacking the royal family and killing our clansmen. These are all serious crimes. Every citizen of heavens beyond Avalon counted. Killing one was one less. Seeing the few cavalry lying in a pool of blood, the always optimistic Qiu Shuang could not help but feel sad. Don't talk nonsense with them. Li Fan reminded the leader. These people came prepared. I think they want the lives of the 2 crown princes. While speaking, an assassin suddenly appeared above Li Fan's head. He released his avatar and turned into a 4 meters tall giant. He slammed his palm down towards Li Fan's head. This was the true strength of heavens beyond Avalon, Avatar. Although Martial Emperor did not learn this part, through his powerful talent, he managed to study it. Relying on the avatar, this assassin's palm could even shatter a small mountain. But Li Fan was not a pushover. He immediately put on the Imperial Guard armor and pulled out a sword from the waist of a cavalry and stabbed upwards. Chapter 1716. Li Fan didn't know why he was attacked. Logically speaking, the 2 crown princes weren't important in this game. Be it their individual strength or the power they had, they couldn't compete with the others. But on their way back, they met a group of assassins. One of the assassins used his avatar and jumped down from Li Fan's head. He slapped Li Fan's head. Li Fan pulled out his companion's sword and injected his internal energy into it. He stabbed at the assassin's palm. The assassin's palm was pierced and blood spurted out. But this assassin was very fierce. He ignored the injury on his hand and tried to use his other hand to slap Qiao Nan, who was in Li Fan's arms. Li Fan's other hand summoned a scarlet spear, and with another poochie sound, it quickly and neatly pierced the assassin's throat, sending him flying into the air, and then throwing him down the cliff along the plank road. Li Fan's sword skills and spear skills didn't have any routines. They were just fast, accurate, and ruthless. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of exposing his martial arts. Qiu Shuang hugged her brother and protected him in her arms. Qiao Nan had always been timid and now he was scared to death. He hid in his sister's arms and shivered. Qiao Nan, don't be afraid. We'll be fine. Li Fan could only protect the 2 crown princes. He couldn't help the rest of the cavalrymen. The cavalrymen's combat strength was decent. They barely blocked the attacks of the assassins. But they were at a disadvantage and couldn't hold on for long. Li Fan could only use one immortal pet. Li Fan couldn't remember what it was. But this immortal pet didn't have high combat strength. It would only cause trouble. Hold on to me. There was only one way. Li Fan told Qiu Shuang. Qiu Shuang hugged her brother with one hand and hugged Li Fan's waist with the other. She was almost pressed against Li Fan's chest. Go! Li Fan whipped his horse and led the 2 crown princes to rush out from the plank road. Every step Ruby took was very steady. Although the plank path was dangerous, it was like walking on flat ground for Ruby. Chase. When the assassins saw this, how could they let them leave? Thus, they rode the wind and chased after Li Fan and the others. The strongest combat ability of the human realm above heavens was the Dharma body. A battle spirit was only a means to protect one's life. The assassins were all experts, and their pursuit speed was faster than the wind. Even though Ruby was a divine steed, they still managed to catch up to it in a few moments. These assassins flew to the left and right of Li Fan and the others, each of them brandishing their weapons. Some were armed with daggers, some with machetes, and one with a bow and arrow. Facing the crown prince in Li Fan's arms, he pulled the bowstring in his hand as he sped forward. 2 arrows were aimed at them. This archer was also very powerful. One bow and 2 arrows. Moreover, they were moving at such a high speed. It would be extremely difficult for an ordinary person to hit the target. However, it was a piece of cake for the experts of the human realm above heavens. Bang! The bowstring snapped, and 2 arrows flew over, striving to outdo each other. However, Li Fan raised his spear and sent the 2 arrows flying with 2 clangs. The assassins were a little shocked. This general had not even reached the stage of using the Dharma body. He only relied on his own spear skills to block several attacks. They were all real men of sacrifice. They would not rest until they completed their mission. How could they let them escape? Inescapable net. The 2 assassins suddenly threw out a golden net made of golden dragon heavenly worm silk. Golden dragon silk was said to be a descendant of dragons. They were 10 times larger than ordinary silkworms, and the silk they spat out was also golden in color. It was invulnerable to weapons and fire. The net that they weaved was even more powerful. This inescapable net covered Li Fan and the others from head to toe. Li Fan could also see that this inescapable net was extraordinary. He was afraid that his spear would not be able to break through the opponent's net. Seeing that the net was about to cover them, Li Fan suddenly made an unimaginable move. He clamped his legs on the horse's belly and shouted, "Jia!" At this moment, the man and the horse became one, forcefully stopping the ruby under them. According to the ruby's speed, with the effect of inertia, it would not be able to stop at this speed. However, Li Fan's internal energy exploded and forcefully pulled the ruby's body. Then, the ruby's powerful leg strength exploded and it bounced to the side. Bang! The ruby jumped to the side. This terrifying movement made the assassin's jaws drop. Quick chase! They hurriedly picked up the net and rushed towards Li Fan again. Qiu Shuang's face was flushed with excitement. However, Li Fan kept thinking, if they used the inescapable net again, how was he going to dodge it? He could not use the previous method. Pulling the ruby with his internal energy and bouncing with his 4 hooves would cause great damage to the ruby. If he used it again, the ruby's 4 legs would probably be crippled. However, the net also threatened Li Fan. If they fought it head-on, they would definitely be caught. Princess, does the inescapable net have any weaknesses? Qiu Shuang shook her head. The golden dragon silk armor is impenetrable. My royal father has a golden dragon silk armor. It's his favorite treasure. Fuck, how could there be such a perverted thing? Wasn't this a cheat code? However, Li Fan suddenly had an idea. Fuck, to be able to think of this method, he was really a genius. Another 2 assassins rushed in front of Li Fan and the rest, preparing to throw the inescapable net. However, Li Fan directly waved his hand. The spear in his hand turned into a red lightning bolt and instantly pierced the throat of an assassin, nailing him to the ground. At the same time, Li Fan slightly turned his horse around and suddenly accelerated, charging towards the other assassin. Bang! This assassin was immediately sent flying by the ruby. At the same time, Li Fan reached out to summon the spear back and then pierced through the chest of the assassin. Another 2 assassins were killed. However, Li Fan was safe and sound. He rode on the ruby, leaving behind a trail of dust as he flipped over the back of the mountain. Although the inescapable net was powerful, the person who threw it was not invincible. This move by Li Fan really gave the assassins a headache. The remaining 7 assassins once again rode on the clouds and chased after Li Fan, keeping pace with the ruby. Although they were like hunters, they were also wary of Li Fan's spear. This brat's spear skills were too shocking. Under such circumstances, he was still able to counterattack. Kill his horse. To shoot a person, first shoot the horse. To capture the bandits, first capture the leader. The assassins pondered for a moment. Since I can't deal with the person, then I'll deal with your horse first. The archer from before drew his bow again and aimed the arrow at the ruby under Li Fan. Moreover, he was not the only archer. The other 2 assassins also took out their bows and aimed at the war horse that was as red as fire. Chapter 1717. Even if the ruby was a fine steed, it was still made of flesh and blood. It could not withstand the combined attacks of several archers. Once the horse's hoof was hit, Li Fan and the rest would probably be overturned. Li Fan could not help but frown. He felt troubled by the ruthlessness of the assassins. The 3 archers were about to shoot, but he could only kill one of them in an instant or block the arrows of the other 2. After all, they were attacking from 3 directions. No matter how powerful Li Fan was, he did not have 3 heads and 6 arms. He could not protect the warhorse. In a split second, Li Fan had an idea. He suddenly pulled the reins and slowed down the speed of the ruby. The 3 archers did not react in time. They continued to gallop and shot the arrows in their hands at the same time. Each of them had 3 arrows on their bows. In an instant they shot out 9 fatal arrows, but all of them missed. The archers were shocked. What kind of reaction speed did the other party have to be able to think of such a method in an instant to slow down the speed of the horse to avoid the attacks? At the same time, Li Fan increased his speed again. In an instant he rushed in front of one of the archers. He raised his spear and stabbed the archer's body. The other 2 archers had already pulled their bowstrings again and arrows flew over. Li Fan threw the archer's body on his spear to block one of the arrows. At the same time, he pulled out a long sword with his other hand and swept it a few times to block the arrows flying from another direction. This set of actions was clean and neat, without any sloppiness. This was not the end. The archer's vision was blocked by his comrade. When he pushed away his comrade's corpse, Li Fan's figure on the warhorse had already appeared in front of him. At the same time, the crimson spear was like the kiss of the Grim Reaper. In an instant, it pierced through his throat. Another 2 people were killed. Now there were only 5 assassins left. These 5 assassins were slightly stronger than inferior immortals. They were basically equal to Li Fan. However, Li Fan's strength lay in his martial arts. Against people from the realm beyond heavens who did not know martial arts and only knew how to attack with brute force, he was almost invincible. This kid is too strong. We can't handle him. One of the assassins couldn't help but mutter. He is powerful, but we are death warriors. Another assassin says, after we die, our souls will enter the Spirit King Palace and we will be like Lord Immortal Sovereign, becoming true immortal existences. That's right. We're going to the Spirit King Palace. Fearless of death. These assassins were not afraid of death. They looked at each other and saw the determination in each other's eyes. I'll be waiting for you at the Spirit King Palace. Brother. One of the assassins suddenly roared, then suddenly rushed forward and rushed towards Li Fan. On his body, a golden light kept flashing, as if something was about to explode. Oh my God, they're going to detonate their doppelgangers. When Qiu Shuang saw this scene, her face turned pale with fright. These fellows are really ruthless. Li Fan tried to accelerate the ruby again to get away from the assassin who was about to self-destruct. However, there was a limit to Ruby's speed. She was unable to shake off the death-defying warrior. Scram! However, Li Fan suddenly turned around and threw the sword in his hand, which nailed the assassin's leg. The assassin actually tore off his leg and continued to charge at Li Fan, but the distance between them had already fallen. Rumble! The golden light seemed to want to devour everything as it suddenly exploded. A huge, hideous human head popped out from the ground and tried to swallow Li Fan and the rest. Li Fan rode on the ruby and suddenly accelerated. He almost brushed past the mouth of the human head and escaped. The human head slowly disappeared and a layer of the ground was scraped off. It was a shocking sight. The remaining 4 assassins continued to chase. They were prepared to self-destruct their doppelgangers. They must complete the mission. However, at this moment, Qiu Shuang pointed forward. We've reached my fief. The Dragon Tiger cavalry is there. Qiu Shuang had never looked forward to her Dragon Tiger cavalry so much. She shouted at the Dragon Tiger cavalry. Quickly come and protect the princess. The 10 Dragon Tiger cavalry were originally patrolling in front of the fief, waiting to welcome the princess. They did not expect the princess to return with 4 assassins in black clothes behind her. Protect the princess. Protect the princess! Protect the princess! When the Dragon Tiger cavalry saw this, they thought to themselves, how could this be? If anything happened to the princess, they would definitely be killed. The 10 Dragon Tiger cavalry stepped on waves of fire and came forward to protect their princess. When the assassins saw this, they knew that they would not be able to kill their target this time. They could only give up on the chase, turn around dejectedly, and quickly leave this place. Li Fan rode on Ruby and met up with the Dragon Tiger cavalry in front of the fief. The cavalry reined in their horses and jumped down to kneel before the princess. We came late to protect the princess. Please forgive us, princess. Forget it. It has nothing to do with you. Qiu Shuang was a kind person to begin with. She would not blame them. She waved her hand and let the cavalry stand up. Behind them came a series of shouts. They were shouting for the princess, the princess. When everyone turned around, they saw the 5 cavalrymen that they had left behind were running over in a sorry state. The one leading them was the leader. His hair was disheveled and he was holding a long sword. When he saw the princess, his tensed expression instantly relaxed. This brother was extremely unconvinced previously. Now that he ran over, he jumped off his horse and knelt down in front of Li Fan. Great General! Thank you for saving the princess. You are really awesome. Li Fan stood there and looked at the leader who was convinced by him. He felt a little strange. Why did he save the princess? Was it because if the princess died, he would also be implicated and lose the chance to enter the core? But if the 3rd princess died, the people in Beyond Avalon would also panic and the world would be in chaos. But if the way to create chaos in Beyond Avalon was to kill such an innocent little girl, then even if Earth won, they would probably be a bunch of walking corpses. No matter what the reason was, Li Fan could not bear to see the 3rd princess die just like that. He was still too soft-hearted. How could he do anything big like that? Li Fan sighed. Qiu Shuang thought that he was feeling sorry for the dead cavalrymen. Teacher, don't be sad. Although they are dead, their souls should enter the spiritual king palace. When my mother died, my father also comforted me like that. Li Fan was a little touched. Even at this moment, Qiu Shuang was still comforting him. But what was the spiritual king palace? Why would the people in Beyond Avalon enter that place after they died? Could it be that it was the Western paradise that humans often talked about? They have returned to the embrace of the spiritual king. The leader said firmly. Now that things have come to this, we should quickly find out who those daring bastards are. Chapter 17-18. Someone actually attacked the 3rd princess and the 3rd prince. In the blink of an eye, the imperial capital received the news of this incident. Originally, there were only 10 Dragon Tiger cavalrymen in a small fief. Now, each crown prince had deployed 5 Dragon Tiger cavalrymen and stationed them in Qiu Shuang's fief. The few crown princes were guessing who would attack their sister-in-law. Which crown prince was threatening the 2 of them? Or was it the Elders Guild who did it? Luckily, they had the general with them. Otherwise, the 2 crown princes would have gone to the spiritual king palace. Now, even the old emperor knew of Li Fan's existence and was full of praise for him. The 2 young crown princes were his treasures. He was very grateful to Li Fan for being able to survive such a fatal assassination attempt. However, the atmosphere in Beyond Avalon became tense. The entire country was looking for the assassins. Regardless of whether Li Fan took action, Beyond Avalon was already in chaos. But in this small fief, Qiu Shuang seemed very peaceful. You have to be quick with your spear. Just stab at this spot. Li Fan stood beside the 3rd princess, Qiu Shuang. The little princess and Qiu Nan stood beside him. Each of them held a spear in their hands and performed simple thrusting motions at the scarecrow in front of them. To them, Li Fan felt that basic skills were still very important. Especially Qiu Shuang and Qiu Nan. They usually lived like royalty. Although they practiced the perfected immortal arts, they did not exercise much. Their martial arts skills were weaker. In this aspect, a martial artist like Li Fan was much better. After all, a martial artist cultivated both internal and external skills. Not only did they need to train their internal skills, they also needed to maintain their external skills. The fist never left the hand and the song never left the mouth. This was the requirement for a qualified martial artist. Teacher, can I really become stronger by training like this? Xiaonan could not help but ask Li Fan as he practiced. Of course, after a month of practice, you will be able to grasp it. After a year, you will be able to master it. Li Fan nodded. Is there no quick way? Xiaonan looked at Li Fan expectantly. Before Li Fan could say anything, Qiu Shuang was already scolding her brother. Xiaonan, stop fooling around. How can there be a shortcut when it comes to practicing martial arts? Qiu Shuang was much more perceptive than Xiaonan. She was originally a delicate princess, but she was very hardworking when it came to cultivation. The little girl was already sweating, but she still curled up her hair and continued to do sprint training. But I think it's very boring, Xiaonan complained. The training process is indeed boring, but when you reach the point of perfection. As Li Fan spoke, he suddenly raised a great spear in his hand and casually stabbed forward. A bug that was crawling over was immediately stabbed by Li Fan and nailed to the ground. Ah, so powerful, even Xiaonan could not help but feel envious. This is a skill that can only be developed through frequent practice. Li Fan reminded Xiaonan, there are no shortcuts, understand? Yes, teacher. Xiaonan could only obediently train with her sister. The two of them faced the scarecrow and continuously stabbed their spears, practicing their spear skills. Actually, using a sword was the same, but Li Fan felt that in such a battlefield, spear skills were much more popular than sword skills. Your Highness. Just as the two sisters were sweating, a butler walked over and knelt in front of the princess. Lord Chang is here. Qiu Shuang was slightly surprised. Your Highness, please dress up, the butler reminded the third princess. Qiu Shuang was currently wearing a simple royal army uniform. Her sleeves and trousers were rolled up, revealing her fair and slender calves and arms. Her hair was curled up and her neck was covered in sweat. Although she looked a little pathetic, she had a different kind of charm. But to the royal family, this was an extremely disrespectful look. Your Highness, Lord Chang is still waiting for you. Li Fan was a little curious. Who is this Lord Chang? Lord Chang is a feudal lord, sister's fiancé. Xiaonan secretly said to Li Fan. Oh! After hearing this, Li Fan had a strange expression. The little princess actually had a fiancé? He had never heard of the eldest and second princess having a fiancé. Why did the youngest one have to be here? Don't listen to his nonsense. I didn't agree to this. When Qiu Shuang heard her brother complaining, she immediately explained, I don't acknowledge this marriage. As a member of the royal family, this wasn't something that Qiu Shuang could decide on herself. Li Fan looked at Qiu Shuang's petite and struggling look and couldn't help but feel a little pity for her. This young lady really didn't have it easy. Your Highness, please take a bath and change your clothes, the butler persuaded again. No way. Qiu Shuang's stubborn temper flared up. Teacher gave me lessons now. Training hasn't ended, I won't be seeing anyone. Shuang you've been working hard recently. You don't even have time to see me? At this moment, a magnetic voice suddenly came from the side. For some reason, when Li Fan heard this man's voice, he subconsciously felt a little disgusted. Everyone turned and saw a handsome man walking over from the side. He was elegant and handsome, wearing a white long gown with a blue vest on the outside. Behind him were 6 guards carrying swords and shields. This man's rich and powerful aura was very obvious. One look and one could tell that he wasn't an ordinary person. This person was probably that Lord Chang? Shuang you are a princess. Actually, you don't need to practice this kind of martial technique. Just let someone else protect you. Seeing you so tired, my heart will ache. I will arrange my own matters. You don't need to worry. Qiu Shuang looked at Prince Chang uncomfortably. Moreover, so what if I'm a princess? Didn't my brother also come from the military? How can men and women be the same? Prince Chang said, women are like water. They are meant to be loved. Unreasonable. These words could be used to coax ignorant young ladies. But to a girl like Qiu Shuang who had her own thoughts, it was completely disgusting. As expected, Qiu Shuang frowned and ignored Prince Chang. She continued to pull her younger brother and practice her spear technique. "You are Shuang Heir's teacher?" Prince Chang was rebuffed by the princess. He suppressed the displeasure in his heart and turned his head to look at Li Fan. He asked arrogantly, "Who gave you the right? Do you know how noble the princess is?" Before Qiu Shuang could get angry, Li Fan stretched out his hand and stopped her. He signaled her to continue practicing, and then he spoke to Prince Chang. "Sorry, who are you?" Chapter 1719. Prince Chang was taken aback by Li Fan's question. One of Prince Chang's guards stepped forward and pointed at Li Fan's nose, scolding him. "Bastard! This is Lord Prince Chang. How dare you be rude to him? What punishment do you deserve? Men, take this rude man down." The 6 guards immediately stepped forward and unsheathed their swords. But at this moment, Qiu Shuang and Qiu Nan's guards saw this and unsheathed their swords as well, pointing them at the guards opposite them. "How dare you? How dare you act so presumptuously in the princess's territory?" One of the guard captains berated loudly, causing the 6 guards to feel a little awkward. "Stand down." Prince Chang knew that the entire realm beyond Avalon was in a state of panic. Everyone was searching for the person who tried to assassinate the princess. The few of them were using weapons in the princess's territory. Wouldn't that be giving others the right to gossip? Hee, this is interesting. In this kind of hostile environment, Li Fan, who was the initiator of all this, looked relaxed. "Since you're Prince Chang, you should know that this is not Chang City, right?" Li Fan looked at King Chang without any fear on his face. "This is the princess's fief, not your vassal state. Do you think you're more honorable than the princess by acting like a tyrant here? What nonsense are you talking about? I don't think so." Prince Chang was shocked. Although the royal family was weak, some words could not be said. Otherwise, it would become an excuse for the royal family to retaliate. Moreover, such behavior would be condemned by the entire realm beyond Avalon. "Since you don't think so, what right do you have to order the princess's teacher?" Li Fan played with the long spear in his hand and said slowly, "Didn't you just ask me who gave me the right to do so? I can tell you that it was the crown prince who appointed me as the princess's teacher. I have full authority to guide her and the 3rd prince's martial arts. If you're dissatisfied, please complain to the crown prince." Li Fan's words angered Lord Chang so much that he gritted his teeth, but the little princess's eyes lit up. Who wouldn't like such a man? He was high-spirited and full of mettle. No one had ever been able to make him afraid. However, Li Fan was not a brainless person who would argue with others. Only in Mary Sue novels would there be such a brainless protagonist who would rush up and throw a tantrum at someone who was better than him. That was courting death. Li Fan's current net worth was very high. He was a highly sought-after great general. Several crown princes were fighting for him, and even the old emperor appreciated him very much. Moreover, this was the fief of the princess. Although Prince Chang was powerful, he could only show off in his own fief. Retort without thinking was something only an idiot would do. Li Fan had come to the realm beyond heaven to do something big. He could not ruin his own future just because of a little childishness. "Li Dezhuang, you win." King Chang looked coldly at Li Fan, his eyes filled with hatred. Although it was not a good thing to be hated by Prince Chang, if Li Fan wanted to climb up, he was bound to please some people and offend others. As for this Prince Chang, he happened to be one of the people he offended. "Shuang Heir, I heard that you were assassinated 2 days ago. How was it? Were you injured?" "I'm very good. With the great general protecting me, no one can hurt me." Qiu Shuang seemed very proud, as if Li Fan's strength was her strength. "Those who wanted to hurt you have not been caught yet. You are still in danger." Prince Chang immediately said, "Why don't you follow me back to my fief? There is a strong army there. You will definitely not have to worry about food and clothing and live a safe and happy life." "No, I am fine here." Qiu Shuang rejected Prince Chang directly, Shuang heir, you are my fiancé. You will marry into my fief sooner or later. That's right. Just wait and see. Qiu Shuang revealed a sly smile. On the day I marry you, I will naturally go to Chang. But for now, I have no intention of leaving this place. You should leave on your own. Shuang heir, now is not the time for you to be willful. Prince Chang signaled to Qiu Shuang, you are in danger now. Only I can give you a stable life. Is that so? Qiu Shuang stood beside her teacher. Teacher is the strongest royal guard of our royal family. If your men can defeat my teacher, then I can leave with you. Third princess's little brain was really too smart. So smart that Li Fan could not help but smile bitterly. This girl had kicked the ball to him. But this was good too. He had to chase this Prince Chang away so that he would not cause trouble here. He is just a small instructor. Even my guards are overestimating him. Prince Chang, however, chuckled. My guards are all elites picked out of 1,000. He's just a mere instructor. Does he think he's qualified to compete with them? If you ever insult my teacher again, please leave my fief. Qiu Shuang was finally angry. She wiped the sweat off her head and looked at Prince Chang with anger in her eyes. Isn't he just an instructor? Why are you so protective? Prince Chang did not understand. He is the one who saved my life. Qiu Shuang raised her chin and looked at Prince Chang. When he was risking his life for me, what were you doing? My Lord Prince Chang? Protecting you is his responsibility. Prince Chang harumphed. He only did what he should do. Is it worth being complacent? Enough. We don't welcome you here. Please leave. Qiu Shuang was angry. Do you know what you are saying? Prince Chang frowned. He had lost a lot of face. If he were to leave like this, how could he raise his head in front of the vassals in the future? Lord, I am willing to compete with this instructor. A guard saw Prince Chang's awkwardness. He took a step forward and said, I hope Lord Prince Chang and Her Highness can agree. Since you are willing to teach this guy a lesson, why would I stop you? Prince Chang smiled. This guard was not bad. When he returned, he would definitely promote him. How about it? Do you dare to accept the challenge? Prince Chang said to Li Fan in disdain. Why not? Li Fan did not show any fear. Instead, he held his scarlet spear easily. But why? Are you afraid? Do you have any conditions? But one is too few. Let all 6 of them come at me together. Li Fan crooked his finger. Ha! Prince Chang suddenly burst into laughter. He looked at Li Fan as if he was looking at a fool. 1 against 6? You are really crazy. Fine. I will satisfy you. Let's see how you humiliate yourself. Prince Chang didn't take Li Fan seriously at all, even though he was widely spread about how powerful he was. But if Green Hill really had such a fierce general, then King Green Hill would have already made it known to the world. This brat must have used some tricks or flattered the princess to climb to this position. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.